Right as my alarm goes off. Good timing. Yeah. Hello, those of you who know it's kind of coming to the end of the line of content. But something that's caught my eye is a Jeff the Killer concept that I went over way back when. The content was so absurdly overbalanced. Hang on, let me change the title real quick. DBD Creation Reviews. Hmm. Hmm. 12/2021. I don't know what I want to title this. Um, because the concept's still fairly bad, but it's a little bit better. I'll just say revisiting. Revisiting Jeff. There we go. So, now I just closed the wrong tab. Thank God Control Shift and T exist. Am I right? All right. Now, I had my discussion thing up, so it's fine that I didn't have everything set up. Now, those of you that remember, a little while ago, I did a concept over Jeff the Killer that was so incredibly bad that I ended up saying that he should just take his concept and essentially throw it in the trash and rewrite everything. Here's the comment for it that I wrote. I'll just read it out for you. This concept has no sense of balance, needs to be reworked heavily. I'd recommend visiting other killer concepts, the DBD wiki, and doing research about the game mechanics before trying to make a concept. I'd recommend scrapping and rewriting everything once proper research has been done. You have a lot of imagination and ideas, but you're missing proper ways to implement them. That was what I sent way back when. And his reply is, I wouldn't say heavily because if I wanted it overpowered, I would have used the killer's power to apply the incapacitated and dupe wound status effects. Again, doing research about the game's mechanics before trying to make a concept. Deep wound status effect on its own doesn't do much unless your killer is overpowered and has the speed to necessarily to take survivors down after that's been applied. Incapacitated just stops them from interacting with most objects. The incapacitated status effect's not even that overpowered. It only becomes overpowered if used for an excessive amount of time. Again, he still doesn't know what he's talking about in his return. And then he says, oh, so I made this for fun, not because I think Jeff the Killer should be in the game. Now, somebody else states that if you're going to make a concept for the game, you should at least use the game's mechanics and not just throw everything out to make one super, super, super killer. Now, I don't remember what video I done this particular concept in. I just know it was semi-recent. I guess all my videos are semi-recent. And this concept used to be super decently long and super convoluted. and just bad. So, a lot of people thrown in. I know Cordyceps and Manacle and Critical Fish and all of them have been talking and essentially writing this guy's concept for them. He's been pushing back and saying that everything's fine, and he's been trying to defend everything that's being said towards him. But eventually it kind of got through his head that, hey, everybody's trying to help you. So I'm just going to do an update video to see what he took from what they said. And I'm going to do re-review this concept from the start, and let's see if my opinions change. Before then, my final opinion was to scrap the whole thing, learn about the game's mechanics, and then restart making the concept again. But let's see. It's Jeff the Killer, the Psychopath. Real name, Jeffrey Woods. Killer name, the Psychopath. Or killer concept, the Psychopath. 1. Killer concept, the Psychopath. Killer concept, the Psychopath. Real name, Jeffrey Woods. Killer name, the Psychopath. Are you the psychopath here, son? Why do you have that with an eye shot of each other? We understand. Weapon, stainless steel kitchen knife. Tear radius 12 meters, base movement speed 6.9 meters per second. I'm already slapping my head, or my forehead. Already, again, from the start, your tear radius is non-existent and your base movement speed is 6.9 meters per second. Obviously, it's a meme, but again, balance it towards the actual game. You do not need to be moving at 6.9 meters per second. Ever. Not base speed. You know how quick you'll be zooming across the map? Just in essence, if you're chasing a survivor, you're going to be gaining on them 2.9 meters per second a second. There is no way any survivor is going to be able to keep up with you. You're literally just going to be walking around slapping people. You're just an extremely fast mouse 1 killer that essentially has no tear radius. As soon as they hear your tear radius, they have less than 2 seconds to do anything before you're coming around the corner and you're slapping them. Just from base stats. Less than 2 seconds. That's ridiculous. With all the help that everybody's given you, you still, right at the start, before I even reviewed, are still having the same issues and the same problems that you originally had. And I've read some of the comments and all that to see, you know, hey, they're helping this guy. I wonder what they're saying to him and things like that. Just to kind of get, you know, a gist of the particular situation. And he says multiple times that he feels that his concept's balanced and he doesn't need to revisit it or anything like that. When from the start, anybody that plays the game from the start can obviously see that this concept is broken and overpowered. From the start, you don't even have to read it. It's like, come on, man. When you're making these and looking at things, how do you not realize that, hey, maybe that's a lot of speed? Well, I mean, I know how. You only have 25 posts, so you've never actually, you know, went and tried to post or look at any other concepts or anything like that. Like I said, I wish I had the ability to put your particular idea into the game, code them in, give them the power that they want, and there was just a small little docket, because I would use like the Trapper as a base, and I would just tweak his speeds. And then I would invite you into a game, and I would slap the ever-living crap out of you as a killer to show that, hey, your killer's too OP. But I don't have the ability to do that, and I'm not going to go and make a Trapper frame and do all the programming and all of that and modding. And I'm not going to have anybody that I know go ahead and mod all of these ideas, because some of them are kind of off the wall crazy. you do have an overview. It's a good start. A persistent killer able to use his ability, Night Terror, to use sneak up on survivors and ambush them out of nowhere. He doesn't even have to use his ability, Night Terror. You have 12 meters of terror radius and a speed of 6.9 meters per second. You don't need to sneak up on people. You are a speed ambusher. You're going to zoom around the corner and just slap them out of nowhere. His perks, blah, also allow him to maim survivors while in chase and intimidate cooperative survivors. There's not going to be any cooperation, my dude. As fast as you're moving, if they unhook somebody from a hook, they're not going to have time to sit there and heal because you're going to come zooming back across and start slapping. There ain't going to be no cooperative. None of that. When you have enough speed to slap a survivor that has overwhelm and then still keep within, a decent distance of that survivor, or not overcome, there's an issue. If somebody could dead hard you, but you still keep gaining speed on them as they're dead harding you, there's an issue. Also, in your overview, I mean, there's nothing wrong with throwing out your perks and all of that, but generally, I just need to know what the overview of your killer is. Jeff the Killer, or Jeffrey Woods, or the Psychopath, is a persistent killer who uses abilities to sneak upon survivors and ambush out of nowhere. That's a very good thing right there. If you want to add in all of this, don't add in his perks. This perk, this perk, and this perk. Allow him to maim survivors while in chase and intimidate cooperative survivors. Just put the ending part. Allows him to maim survivors while in chase and intimidate cooperative survivors, and that he's the sneak up and ambush type, essentially. Ooh, I just woke up, by the way. Power. Redesign Night Terror. The Psychopath's mind had snapped years ago, making his desire to kill so pure that even the bravest of his prey see him as the monster of their nightmares, and soon they will not be awake much longer. Psychopath's stun duration is decreased by 90%. So now we have 6.9% or 6.9 meters per second. With stuns, the only way they're going to be able to get any type of distance on you being decreased by 90%. And the only thing you try to balance that with is movement speed decreased by 8%. So let's do 6.9. 8% of 6.9 is equal to 0.552. It's coming off of the 6.9. So you'll still be moving 6.34800. So essentially 6.3 meters per second. After having this decrease in speed by 8%. But this slight decrease in speed, 0.5 meters per second, is the equivalence of 90% stun duration, D being decreased. Stun duration decreased by 90%. And the only thing you're going to get off of that is a minus 5 or minus 0.5%. God damn, I can't speak, can I? Minus 0.5 meters per second speed reduction. Don't that not seem a little bit unbalanced and a little bit unfair? Now, oh, I'll give up 0.5 meters per second, but I still have 6.4. But guess what? Now I have a minus 90% stun resistance. Plus 90% stun resistance. Holy crap, I should stop recording when I wake up. Rewind all the way back to the beginning. Welcome everybody. Today we're doing a concept over Jeff the Killer while we go back and re-review everything. Blah blah blah. 12 meters tear radius. 6.9 meters per second speed. Obviously not balanced. You can get to that person within 2 meters per second or 2 seconds. Power. Night Terror. Especially up in here, you don't even tell me what Night Terror does or anything like that. It doesn't say. I mean, it says that it's a stock ability, yes, but you're not telling me anything that I need to know about the particular power. If I read this word for word, stun durations decrease by 90%, movement speeds decrease by 8%. Again, you should really do some research on other killer concepts and that are implemented in the game, or look at other people's creations before throwing out random numbers. And you should also do the math to see what you're decreasing everything by. Because if you run, it's not Unrelenting Force, whatever the perk is that allows you to break pallets 50% faster, equals up to 1.2 seconds. And then the other one that reduces stun time reduces it to, I want to say it was like 2 seconds or something like that. Pretty sure it came out to 2 seconds. I did the math way back when. And that's like at 50%. So you're decreasing a lot of time from pallet stuns. You're wanting essentially instantaneous recoveries from them. And all you're giving up is 0.5 speed. The Psychopath can stalk survivors within clear view, and stalking all remaining survivors for 30 seconds will activate Go to Sleep. Now, if I remember correctly, back when this was long and convoluted, I asked way back when, does it stalk automatically as you're just in sight, or do you have to hold a stalking button? As it's written, it just automatically stalks anything, all the way from one side of the map all the way to the other side of the map. Anything that is on their screen at that point in time automatically gets stalked. You don't have to press any buttons. You don't have to do anything. And again, I'm going to bring up the fact that there needs to be, one, a distance of which this ability needs, or that can actually be used. You need to be fairly close. 2, you need to make it like Ghostface revealing Ghostface, where they have to be within a certain arc on your screen, not just the entire screen. If you want to use the entire screen, then you're going to have to be extremely close to them in order to make that happen. Because if not, you're literally just getting free stocks of survivors that you necessarily won't even see. You'll just be walking around, catch a survivor, an edge of a survivor, or something like that, and their gauge will just start filling up. And you won't be none the wiser. There's a reason why they make you press a stalking button to show that, hey, I see a survivor. Actually, not just I'm randomly picking up things. But, you know, whatever. So your stalking ability, besides the incredible amount of speed and a decreased tear radius, which is still BS and needs to be rebalanced and changed, this power Night Terror, which I don't even know when it's technically active. Is it only active when Survivors in view of you? I mean, what's going on? If Night Terror only activates when a survivor's in view with you, it's still overpowered, because you're only losing 0.5 meters per second, and you're getting the increase in your stun duration. It's an automatic stalking ability, and you only need to stalk all survivors for 30 seconds. The way you have your killer set up, and having a whole bunch of other things, I don't think this power should be able to be used more than once a match. Because you have gotten so convoluted and so ridiculous in your concept. And you even said, well, I don't care about this and that. I just want to have fun and create a concept. Well, if you want to have fun and create a concept, then create a concept and post it on Facebook or Instagram or wherever else. Keep it out of an official forum that's made and tailored to content for Dead by Daylight. Don't just post random bullcrap that, don't make sense. Or say, hey, it's a Jeff the Killer meme in your title, so people know, hey, it's a meme. Things like that. Don't take it seriously, etc., etc. But don't name your thing Killer Concept the Psychopath like everybody else that's actually serious about their posts and creations in the particular form. It's called being a scumbag. Because one, you posting something like this that doesn't have the proper terminology or anything else in it, it's broken, needs to be balanced, and you're not caring about it. One, if you put something in there, the moderators can just delete your post, or they can move your post to the appropriate branch if it needs to be moved. Or they can go in and do whatever they need to do. Since you named it Killer Concept the Psychopath, they probably didn't even open it or view it, because they assume it's just a regular post. Tear radius and speed wise, base Dead by Daylight game. If it's a regular killer, you'll get 4.6 meters per second with a 32 meter tear radius. If it's a slower killer or a range killer, 4.4 meters per second with a tear radius of 24 meters. You see the scaling there? Regular killers that run have a high tear radius. Killers that have ranged projectiles move slower, but have a lower tear radius for balance purposes. And here you are severely decreasing your tear radius and increasing your speed, which is against Dead by Daylight's base coding, one of its base balance game mechanics, one of the things that keeps the game fun. For you to have 6.9 meters per second, your tear radius would extend way, way, way out there. Because you need to give the survivors time to react. Not, oh, I'm coming around the corner, I'm going to slap you now. As soon as they hear, doom, doom, they literally, now as soon as they hear, doom, the first doom from the heartbeat, they have less than 2 seconds to get away. Or you're coming around the corner and you're getting that booty. That's ridiculous. And the fact that you can't understand the base system of the game is why I said originally, you need to scrap this whole thing, do research, and then rework it. Actually, just rewrite the whole thing. Don't rework it. Because when you try to rework it, you're just going to keep adding more mistakes in and more mistakes on more mistakes. I don't know if you play only survivor only, or you play killer only and you're super heavily biased, or what's going on. But this concept, you're making it into trash. Just rework it. Just start from the top, wipe everything, put the name back up, put the psychopath and everything up, Rebalance tear radius, rebalance movement speed. The overview, I mean, I guess is fine compared to everything else that's here. Power-wise, wipe everything from the power, rework the power, make it sensible for the actual game. Then we're going to go down to go to sleep. So after you stalk every survivor, which is automatically, by the way, for 30 seconds. So essentially, the first chase that you get in with a survivor, you're going to have them mark. So after chasing every survivor for 30 seconds, you'll activate go to sleep. That's not a hard thing to do. This is a very easy activation. And what are you going to get? Movement speed and action speed increased by another 30%. Another 30%. Tear radius is increased by 50%. 50% of that would be an extra 6. Now you're at 18 meters per second. You're still below base tear radius. You're still below it, even with a 50% increase. How do you not understand this? The simple things. Red stain is removed. It doesn't matter if they can see your red stain or not because you're so fast. They ain't even gonna have time to see your red stain. You're gonna fly around the corner and slap them before they even know what's going on. But then you add that the killer instinct reveals the locations of survivors within 10 meters. Again, you are zooming around the map. Zooming around the map. As you patrol gens and do things like that, you're going to get killer instincts revealed all the time. Let's just put this into perspective. At 6.9 meters per second, every 10 seconds, you're going to be moving 69 meters. So if we take 69 times 6, you can move 414 meters while in your power. 404. Actually, no, it's more than that. I didn't even add in, without even increasing the 30% extra movement speed. You can move over 400 meters per second. So let's just do 400. Nah, I can't really do 30% because that wouldn't be fair, but it ends up becoming quite a lot more. So you can move over 400 meters per second while this 60-second activation. And all of that is at 6.9 meters per second plus the 30% increase in speed. Tear radius is increased by 50%. Negligible. You might as well not even have a tear radius on your killer. Red stain is removed. Negligible. Your speed makes it to where none of that matters. You might as well not have a tear radius, not have a red stain. Killer instinct reveals location of survivors within 10 meters. So out of those 400 meters, any survivor that you come across, bang, downed. Survivors interacting with props within the tear radius are incapacitated upon activation. I wouldn't say heavily because if I wanted it overpowered, I would have used the killer's power to apply incapacitated and deep wound status effects. Let's see. Incapacitated. When a survivor is hit, they suffer from the deep wound status effects. So by your words alone, if by your particular words that you spoke to me on December 6th, if you wanted it overpowered, you would use incapacitated and deep wound status effects, and you immediately turned around and did that. So that tells me, personally, that you made this killer overpowered on purpose, and you know exactly what you're doing. This is what makes you a scumbag. Just because you love a particular killer doesn't mean that killer needs to come in super overpowered and just tapping survivors left and right. It's not how that works. The game has core mechanics. Use those core mechanics to try to implement your killer in the best way possible. Instead of going off rogue and creating a concept that's absolutely useless to everybody. Throw this concept in the garbage and start from new. Start over, fresh. Don't even rework it. Start over, fresh. Remake the concept and actually do it right and quit being so freaking lazy. Because this is what this is. This is absolute laziness. Well, I'm going to make it automatically stock everybody, and I'm going to make it super fast so I can immediately zoom around the map and get these stockings done. And then once I zoom around the map and get all these stockings done, Killer Instinct reveals all the survivors, anybody working on anything, and my tear radius can no longer work. When they get hit, they get deep wound status effect. Oh, and also after they're dying, the movement speeds decrease by 60%, so they can't run or do anything. So I'm just going to run around like Legion, and I'm just going to put everybody with the deep wound status effect. Oh, but if an injured survivor comes within 6 meters of another survivor trying to heal or trying to pick another survivor up or anything like that, they're going to scream, so I know exactly when they're trying to heal each other. Oh, and also, when 3 survivors have been sacrificed, I'm going to throw in a Rancor. Because, well, I'm too lazy to use the perk, so yeah, we're just going to expose the last survivor and allow me to kill the killer, and I'm just going to immediately ignore that Rancor exists. Oh, and here's my Mori animation too. I want it exactly like this. But now, what was added in after all of this? Now we're getting into everything that's been added. Well, I mean, all of this has been heavily edited and all of that, but still, if the ability to stalk is here, why not say what the heck stalk does before you go into another ability? Stalking should either be in this or should have came after this in between these two, so I don't have to scroll down here and refer back up here. So now what he's added in, and this wasn't here before, hold the ability button to stalk survivors. So not even the power button. You literally have power, Night Terror, and you're holding the ability button to stalk survivors. Excuse me? Excuse me? It should be the power button there, buddy. Again, do your research. Do your research. Hold the power button. This is a power, so it should be on your power button. It shouldn't be 2 separate buttons. While stalking, the Psychopath is granted the undetectable status effect. There's not even a heavy decrease in speed because we know he only loses 0.5 meters per second. But now he's gaining the undetectable status effect and the 90% decrease in stun and the undetectable status effect, all for minus 0.5 meters per second off of his insane speed as it exists already. Garbage. Absolute garbage. And I mean this with 100%. Now, 110% serious when I say this. You need to take your concept down and redo the whole thing. I'm being 110% serious. As it sits now, it's unacceptable. It should have never seen the light of day on this forum. It's so unbalanced and so convoluted. I can't believe it even made it past you. Like, past you when you're looking at this. I've made concept, and as I've made concept, I've said, no, I can't put this out like this. I gotta redo things, redo things, redo things, redo things. This concept don't work. Then you add in the secondary ability to allow him to teleport between chests, generators, lockers, all of this. The cooldown is 60 seconds, which doesn't matter because you can run over to the particular place you're trying to teleport to before you can even finish your teleport animation. Which, hey, by the way, thanks for putting that extra information there for us to go off of to know how long it takes to teleport and things like that. Also, you're decreasing the cooldown for 25% for every injured survivor. Which is going to be every survivor because you're going to be zooming down, hitting and downing people. Perk-wise, probably never changed any of the perks, but let's see. When a survivor blinds or stuns you in any way while in a chase, their aura is revealed for 6 seconds. Lightborn exists. Movement speed is increased by 8% for the rest of the chase. Really, you need more than 6.9 meters per second, huh? At Bloodlust Tier 3, the survivor is exposed for 20 seconds. This particular killer's never going to use this perk. I can tell you that much. Oh yeah, also survivor's perk do not affect happy thoughts. Your killer can't even use this perk. Your killer is so fast and has such a high movement speed and everything else that you're going to down a survivor before any of this becomes active. You'll never get blood tier. You're going to be zooming and knocking survivors out too fast. Movement speed. How are you going to manage to get blinded? If a flashlight's in your face, you're moving. You know how hard it is to hit a moving target that's moving 6.9 meters per second. Like, imagine trying to blind, like, a hillbilly running at full speed or something like that. You know how hard that is to get a blind on something that's zooming towards you. It's not going to happen. Flashbangs, they throw down at their feet and then explode. So unless you're stupid and run directly into it, that's the only way that's going to happen. You would literally have to stand there and allow them to blind you. So this is really only going to be used if you are carrying us. Well, no, because it's while in chase. So even if you're carrying a survivor and you get stunned, it's not even going to activate. So yeah, this just isn't going to be used. You have so much speed to where you don't even necessarily have to even break god pallets. You're zooming so goddamn fast. Obviously, you're going to, but you could literally just, if the survivor throws a god pallet down and continues to run, you can just walk around the god pallet and immediately get back to them and slap them down. Your speed's so fast that you'll never get into blood tier 1 because you're just going to walk around the corner and slap them. Especially not blood tier 3. Blood tier 3's ridiculous speed on its own. On top of your base movement speed, nah, it's not going to happen. Plus another 8%. So this perk is going to go out into the general public. And this is where the problem comes in. I can just keep bull or BSing a survivor until I get my blood tier 3 and insta down them. Or I can let the survivor stun me, get the, well, I mean, I guess I could just run Lightborn. There's no point in the aura being revealed or anything like that. That's literally Lightborn. So take that off of the perk. Movement speed, again, do some research on game mechanics and do some math off of basic regular killers so you can balance all of your perks and all your information off of them. This doesn't need to exist. This doesn't need to exist. So now only thing you have left is has a cooldown of 30 seconds. Get rid of that perk. Don't rebalance it, don't rework it. This entire concept, again, needs to be thrown in the garbage and needs to be redone. Then you try to go into the Scorch Hooks. But on top of Scorch Hooks, you also try to throw in Obsession, a whole bunch of other bullcrap. as somebody mentions to you, and I mentioned to you the first time, you can get multiple stacks of this particular perk. So I'm not even going to go over any of Counting Sheep and Bloodied Smile because I already did in detail explaining how powerful it was and how everything stacks. The aura reveal. Everybody knows how I stand on aura reveals. The aura reveal should just be enough to show where the survivor is and what direction they're heading in or what their next action's going to be. You don't need to keep constant track on a particular survivor. I don't need to go over these. I guess I should, just to be thorough. Bloodied Smile. When you down your obsession with the basic attack, action speed is decreased for all other survivors within the terror radius for 6 seconds, and other survivors' auras revealed for 6 seconds. This is a on hit or on down barbecue and chili that decreases action speeds by 6%. And this is per down. So any survivor that is near that particular person can get stackable debuffs over and over and over and over and over and over and over an infinitum. Especially if, let's say, it's a 3-gen situation, all survivors are trying to get together and get this gen done. If the obsession just manages to keep going down, all of them are just going to be screwed on action speed. Why is action speed important? It's got nothing to really do with, generator time or anything like that. It's the exit gate opening time is where this will come and bite survivors in the butt. When you have a killer that's zooming around and can get back and forth between exit gates before either one gets open, and you're decreasing their time that they can open said exit gates, or increasing the amount of time it takes to open exit gates, that's very detrimental. This perk is not good. It rewards tunneling for one, and when you find your obsession, you have enough speed to where you can make sure they're around other survivors and immediately down them. This perk serves no purpose for any other killer except for your killer. I would never run this on any other type of build. Unless I'm like a basement camping or hook camping like Bubba or something like that. He could get value out of that because action speeds come from unhooking as well. If it takes longer for you to unhook, I can get to you easier with my chainsaw and things like that. So, camping killers that have one-hit downs and things like that could use this perk. Any other base killer, it's useless to them. Scorch Hook, Counting Sheep. At the start of the trial, everything Scorch Hooks. When a survivor is hooked on the Scorch Hook for the first time, you gain a token, a maximum of 4 tokens. For each token, movement speed is increased by 8% for 20 seconds. This don't even make sense. So, you can have a maximum of 32% increase of movement speed for 20 whole seconds on top of your 6.9 meters per second. But after you get that 20-second tick, that's it. The perk's gone. So when you hook your first survivor, you're going to get a brief boost in speed for 20 seconds. Perk deactivates, and then every other consecutive survivor they get hooked, you get a small speed boost. This is good for if you're trying to get Devourer of Hope triggers, but I mean, your killer's so goddamn fast, you don't even need to run your own perks. That's about the end and gist of that. 20 seconds is way too long. You can get across the map in 20 seconds. You really don't need that much. That stacked with barbecue and chili gives you essentially another 2 seconds of ore reading because you're moving fast and can get to that location faster. So you're getting more value out of barbecue and chili and things like that. I'm pretty sure you just threw out random numbers, but it is what it is. The movement speed, 8% seems to be your favorite number to go with. So if you did look something up, you just essentially looked up one speed perk and then you just based everything off of that one number. Speed wise or perk duration time. Looks like you just threw darts at a dartboard with numbers on it and you just said whatever popped into your mind or whatever score you got. You just had post-its on there, you threw it, you said, I got 15, okay, 12, 15, and 20. Cool. Send it. Think about your perk being on another killer and being used on the killer that you're trying to design it to. This perk is weak, and this perk is also useless. It has to be ran with another perk, like barbecue and chili or something like that, or sort of informative perk, in order to have any value. But it only activates 4 times, and that's on 4 each individual new hook. So I'm not understanding what you're trying to do with this particular perk. But this is also, here's the Mori again, by the way. I know that people think that Jeff the Killer would be like the Legion and that not everyone likes him to be a character at all, but honestly, I don't care. What a terrible attitude to have. I made this for fun, not because I feel like Jeff should be added to the game as a killer. Either way, feel free to tell me what you think. And of course, people are going to tell you what they think. Your concept needs to be redone completely. Again, it's been redone once, you need to go back and you need to redo it again. And you need to continue to redo it till you can get to your thick head that, hey, this is a game that you have to have balance towards the game, not just whatever your mind thinks. There is no bias when it comes to game balance. Game balance is game balance. You want to get it as close as possible, then public test, beta, and behavior will take over from there. But if you start way out in left field from the start, guess what? You're never going to score any type of home runs or anything like that. You're barely going to get a ball going in your direction. Nobody likes to go across the field to talk to you. How about you come back in where everybody else is and mingle? Don't be that wallflower just standing on the wall, not having a good time. Because one, you're making it awkward for everybody else who you're just standing there looking at. And I love how he said Jeff the Killer would be like Legion. Yes, that is true, but Jeff the Killer is more like Michael Myers than anything. Because you've immediately started off with a stalking power. Legion don't stalk. Legion don't even move at a faster speed. Legion just knows parkour. And as he hits and chains, that's where Legion gets its power from. Legion has no speed increase. He moves at 4.6 meters per second like everybody else. He just does things faster. He parkours. He free runs. And there's been a whole special mechanic designed around Legion to where it makes him, usable. So I don't know where you got Legion. Just because you're applying duple and status effects, yeah, I can see a little Legion in that. But you have Michael Myers written all over this concept, from the weapon that you use, from the stalking ability to everything else. And I love how he put all of this in huge caps when he is way off base. And also rude. Somebody actually voted up the original trash this was, too. So feel free to tell you what you guys think. He's doing it for fun, blah, blah, blah. As I said before, his concept still, to this day, has no sense of balance, needs to be reworked heavily. He still needs to visit other killer concepts, the DBD Wiki, and he needs to do research about the game's mechanics before trying to make a concept. He needs to do all of those. All of those. Again, he has a lot of imagination and things like that, but he doesn't know how to properly implement them. He needs to talk to somebody else as he's making his concept, so somebody can say, hey bro, you're getting out of control again. Calm yourself down. I wouldn't say heavily. Yes, heavily. 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 You only have 25 posts in the community, and I guarantee you ain't played the game that long. Then, instead of just editing this post, he recomments to me again and says, also, I made this for fun, not because I think Jeff the Killer should be in the game. We've already seen this before. This isn't new, by the way. This was here the first time. I read it the first time. You ain't got to repeat yourself multiple times to me. I read it. It's there. It's signed. The contract's been signed in blood. Cookie Bear's probably the one that upvoted this. I think it's a really cool concept. It's more like Michael Myers. You are the type of person that I hate most in this forum. You have 1,500 posts, and I guarantee all of your posts are like this. Yeah, it's a really cool concept. It's like Michael Myers. Yeah, but what about the feedback to the actual concept? This is just a generic answer. A very generic answer that is useless to any type of creator, especially a new one. You don't need to go over there, rub him, shake his hand, and be like, yeah, you did an amazing job, man. No, tell him that his concept's crap like it actually is. Yeah, it's a cool thought of a concept. It's like a more lethal Michael Myers, except that blank. Keep going. Don't just give somebody a one-liner. Anybody that says thank you on any of my concepts, I generally reply back, thanks, and then I completely throw their comment in the trash. That's not constructive criticism. That's not feedback. Thanks. I was trying to keep any that people used to compare Jeff the Killer with Legion. Don't worry, I'm still working on this. Cordyceps comes in and gives him actual constructive criticism. He says essentially everything that is completely wrong with the old concept. He goes through, and like I said, I have the old concept that I went over way back when. I already recorded. I'm not going to go heavily into this. But Cordyceps goes and tells him a full, huge amount of constructive criticism. What does he reply back? You're right. Is there anything in the concept that needs to be changed? Dude, he just gave you all of this constructive criticism. It's not his job to tell you what needs to be changed. It's your job to take his feedback and apply it to your own work. They shouldn't be writing this concept for you. You're obviously way in over your head if you can't take anything from what he just said here with all of this. Happy Thoughts is basically every stun revenge that's ever been proposed stuffed into one perk. That's the issue. That's with that particular perk. Guess what? Go back to Happy Thoughts and rework it to where it's not like that. It's not hard. This is what actual creators get. They get criticism, and then from that criticism, they weed out what's necessarily doesn't need to be changed, what needs to be changed, and they take ideas from that and apply it to the original concept to create a better product. It literally gives you all of these things of which you could use to apply to your concept. What do you reply back? You're right. Is there anything in the concept that needs to be changed? Did you even read his comment? Like, did you actually generally read it, take the time to take it in, and understand what's going on? Because if you would, you wouldn't have given this just generic response. And that's what he's doing, these generic responses. And that's what's so sickening about somebody who asks for feedback and you try to help them out and they give you a one sentence response. Like, why did I waste my time even trying to help this guy go over his things? If he's just, oh, no, oh, well, this, oh, yeah, yeah. Like, no. Cordyceps replies, just make it a bit more focused. Instead of having go to sleep, do 8 different things, have it do 1 or 2. 3 at absolute max, that it really excels at. Remove the cooldown, since you have already have to manually charge it up. Give some sort of cooldown to his teleport ability. And he gives suggestions. As asked, he gives suggestions. I wouldn't have given him any suggestions. Again, I would have just kept to the tough love that I was giving him. And I would have told him, you need to take your concept down, do research, and figure it out for the most part on your own. I wouldn't have gave him any suggestions because he has so many things wrong with his concept. You could sit there and write a different concept on how bad his concept was. Well, actually still is. Critical Fish comes in, even explains that Cordyceps covers a lot of the issues with the killer itself. But then he goes through and goes into more detail. He also talks about the general problem of the misusing and misrepresenting a subsection of a medical condition being antisocial personality disorder. Essentially, for those of you who didn't understand what either I was saying or what he was saying, is yes, when it comes to having, split personalities and things like that, or being antisocial, etc., etc., he was misinterpreting that. And Critical Fish is trying to stop people from, or stop him from making a mistake and I was gonna say interrupting people, insulting and or offending other people that come and visit this particular thing. A lot of people talk about disorders and things like that nowadays that they don't fully understand. And when you try to correct them, they go off of what, the general public, which is generally a misconception and misinterpretation of what the actual thing is. A common one is OCD. OCD does not stand for obsessive cleaning disorder, doesn't stand for any of that. It's obsessive compulsive disorder. It has nothing to do with everything being clean and everything being straight and in a line and everything being orderly and things like that. No, it's about being obsessively compulsive about things. And a lot of people are like, oh man, I'm so OCD. Because if you take something on their desk and you like twist it to the left or something, they'll immediately fix it and they'll start getting angry with you and all of that. Like, no, that's not OCD. That's just you developing a habit of everything happen to be put a specific way. It's got nothing to do with you having OCD or being compulsive about something. It's just habit forming. You can easily break the habit you have of fixing everything to perfection. Just like a habit that it takes to build up, it's a habit you have to bring down. That can be fixed. People that actually have true OCD have a lot of issues, and it's something that they can't control. You do things that you don't even necessarily want to do. You're telling yourself, no, your brain, stop. No, I don't want to do this. No, please stop. Don't do it. Don't do it. And then you do it anyway as it's happening. There's people that can't even drive cars anymore because they have OCD of, counting lines and counting numbers and counting everything around them, and their eyes don't stay on the road and they are a danger to causing car crashes, especially counting the amount of dashes that are in the street where you can pass cars legally, by the way. A lot of people count those, and that can result in car crashes. So you are not deemed able to operate a motor vehicle if you have that counting type of obsession. Things like that. OCD is not about cleaning and orderly and all of that. And I hate when I hear people say, oh, well, I have OCD. You don't. You just have a habit that you've developed over the years, and now you're trying to categorize it. It's like OCD is a actual serious thing that exists. Stop pushing it. What he's saying, antisocial personality disorder, the way you're using it as part of this killer, you're misinterpreting. You're not using it right. Now, we even went back in the edit, and he said he has things to add based on balancing. Where's the perk tiers? When you go up and you immediately look, but you might have fixed it. Let's see if he did. When he had all of this, which I covered too, there were no type of perk tiers. So yeah, looks like he went back through and added perk tiers. I remember this concept. Originally, he had no perk tiers. He just had words on paper. Which again, added to the, if you want to see the original thing and see how terrible it was, I do suggest you go back to my previous concept when I did an original review. Because trust me, even though this is still for the most part garbage, it has been edited significantly and things have been added in. Critical Fish says, Bloodied Smile needs a cap. The Scorch Hook pounding sheep is a lot. With some good play and good RNG, you can get 4 hooks on a single well-placed Scorch Hook easy. This would result in a total of 36% increase to movement speed, and it would be way too OP. Happy Thoughts does everything, and yes, it literally, Happy Thoughts before literally did every single status effect in the game. It does so much. It was so ridiculous that, I mean, like, how could you not see that it was overpowered? Because when you're trying to implement a killer to the game, you're not trying to keep the killer's power level. The killers go around killing people. That's what they do. That's why they're called killers. They kill people. We all know that they kill people. We all know that they're part of main movies where they have all of these superpowers and supernatural movement and abilities and things like that. You gotta remember that you are in the entity's realm. The entity bestows everything upon you. They are no longer the regular killers. They no longer have all of their superpowers and everything else that they have. They have whatever the entity allows them to have and whatever the entity gives them. I mean, keep in mind, they can't even kill survivors unless they burn an offering or the entity has bestowed upon them the power of a mini mori, or they run a perk, which is also something that the entity has bestowed upon them. So running Ghostface, for example, if I don't burn an offering to the entity that says, please let me kill a survivor, I can't even do that. If that kind of brings into perspective what the entity is as a being. He's got a whole bunch of different things. Immediately shuts down. Guys, I'm not going to make the concept where survivors can have more advantages than the killer. This is as balanced as it needs to be. It's not. Survivors don't have more advantages than the killer. It doesn't. If that was the case, and it actually was that way, Trapper would have been buffed way back in the past to be just stupidly strong, going off of your syllabus. But guess what? People still use Trapper, and people still get kills, and people have still gotten iridescent with Trapper. So obviously something's been done right. You need to learn how to design a killer that's supposed to be used in a specific way. And again, do research on the game and things like that. If you think that nerfing your particular killer makes the survivors have more advantages than them, then you obviously have flawed in your concept by start. Your original idea is flawed and needs to be changed. AKA, you need to play the game more and you need to learn about the game and do research, like I've been saying all the time. Then he posts it again. Guys, I'm not going to take any more out of this concept. This is balanced as it needs to be. I will not sit here and make the difficulty for the killer hard. The difficulty for the killer is not hard. You're moving at 6.9 meters per second. It's very easy. What's the point of trying to get good and play nurse when you can just outrun anything that the nurse ever was? It's like you're not trying to make the killer hard. We're trying to keep your killer from being the #1 use killer of all time. Because there's no point in running any other killer. There's no point in using the Wraith stealth ability because it takes time to go in and out of stealth. You literally have little or no tear radius. You can literally just walk up to survivors and slap them down immediately. Your killer, as it's designed, is the greatest killer, and it's just a regular mouse 1 killer that's super speedy. I can run all the way around the map, instantly slapping down survivors. Bam, got him, bam, got him, bam, got him. I don't even need to use the power. I don't even need to run perks. And I can get a guaranteed 3 kill, not 4 kill every time, because Hatch might spawn occasionally in front of a survivor. And they might get the hatch in time for me, but it's guaranteed 100% of the time a 3 kill. Guaranteed, with no perks, no powers, no nothing. Just with the speed alone. 3 kills every time. You give me a killer that has 6.9 meters per second, I will 3-piece that every time. Minimum. It'll most likely be a 4-piece every time. But guaranteed 3-piece. Every time. 100% of the time. And you're not even understanding that. With the perks that you've added, the powers you've added, and everything else that you've added, you have successfully knocked every other killing out of the ranking system. Your killer would be the only one being played. Survivors would never get any wins, and everybody would stop playing the game. You would literally ruin Dead by Daylight with your particular concept. He comes back to Critical Fish, says Bloody Smile is no different than Michael's Dying Light perk. It doesn't need a maximum amount of tokens. If Bloodied Smile is literally no different than Michael's Dying Light perk, then why not use Michael's Dying Light perk? Use the perk that's already implemented into the game. You yourself have literally just admitted that this perk is the same as another perk already exists. That disqualifies your perk from being implemented into the game, stupid. You yourself are saying that with your own words. You've already said if you wanted your killer to be overpowered, you would add incapacitated and deep wound. Guess what? You have incapacitated and deep wound. You were saying that your killer is OP, and now you're saying that one of your perks is literally the same as Michael Myers' perk. So now you've disqualified yourself twice because you want to open up and run your mouth instead of listening to what other people are saying. It's not a misinterpret, and it's not a misinterpretation when you've never had it. So I doubt you won't know for sure if that was true. Brother, are you a fucking idiot? It's not a misinterpretation when you've never had it. So if I've never had a particular case of something, so are you saying you have this particular? Because, I mean, if you're speaking like this, you had better have the particular disorder that you're going over. And I'm not talking about just minor, bull crap psychologists giving you something because you have social anxiety or something like that because you're a little bitch that don't go outside. No, you had better have an extreme case of this. Also, psychologists has been studying this for a long time. You can go online and look up everything. You can go to forums and talk to people about it. You can see their stories. You can see clinical research. You can see a whole bunch of other facts about this. But guess what? Because you wouldn't even look up the basis of the video game that you're posting to, I guarantee that you never looked up the actual disease that you are talking about, the mental disorder that you're talking about. I guarantee you never looked it up and did anything towards that. How dare you open your goddamn mouth and tell somebody else about that? Jeff's bloodlust does seem to be supernatural in a way. Also, I'm not completing this concept in one day. Thank you. You're not even starting the concept in one day. You haven't even gotten a base concept down that's decent that you can build off of. It's garbage from top to bottom. It's garbage. Throw it away, redo it. Do some goddamn research. Quit being lazy and just throwing things out how you like it. You are a spoiled kid trying to make a concept on the forum where everybody takes their concepts seriously. And you're that guy that doesn't care, that just runs in, throws a concept down, asks for feedback and all of that. Anybody gives you feedback and you're immediately defensive. How can you be so stuck up and so conceited about your own work? Get off of the forum. Leave. Leave. Do not come back. Go to Facebook, go to Twitter, go to anywhere else and post your ideas to people who really don't care and really don't know about the game. Maybe you'll get some support. Go to a horror forum or something like that and post about Dead by Daylight there. Don't post here. You're obviously just straight full of yourself. You don't know what you're doing. You're an amateur. You're a novice. When people try to help you, you're pushing them away. So don't make us read your trash that you're putting out to us. Delete your concept, get rid of it. You had better hope that I never become a mod. Because when you get people like this, I would literally move your concept out of the way. I would probably move it either as a subcategory as something else if it's possible, or I would move it to its own thing in another category. So nobody who's taking serious concepts has to deal with this. Or I would just straight up delete it. Poof, gone. And I wouldn't even care if I got in trouble for it. Because it's things like this and people like this that don't deserve to post on this particular forum. Me and a lot of other people spend precious time out of their day making concepts, and we strive to try to make things right and to get behavior's attention. Then we have scumbags like you that don't even care, that's just posting random crap. And if we do get a behavior person, searching through our concepts and they happen to just click on your idea first and they read that and they're like, nah, bro, this ain't it. And then they leave, you just ruined it for everybody. Critical Fish had a lot of things to say, but instead of shutting your mouth, listening to what he's saying, and then thinking about it, you immediately shot back with, it's not a misinterpretation when you've never had it. So one, you had better have it. And I mean an extreme case of it. Not little bitch syndrome where you're just stuck in your house playing video games because you don't want to go outside. So I doubt that you would know for sure even if it was true. Lack of confidence. So you are believing what he's saying. You just don't want to admit it because of your pride. And for the last time, I don't care about how bad Jeff's original story was hitting. Think outside the box. Nobody cares about Jeff's original story. Nobody said anything about Jeff's original story. He's telling you don't use a medical condition as the baseline for your killer. Nobody cares about Jeff's original story, brother. Nobody's ever brought that up. Nobody cares about any of that. We're caring about balancing your concept out. We don't care what the name of your killer is, where he's from, or any of that. We're looking at an overpowered, not very well thought out concept. We're trying to help you put everything together. Well, they're trying to help you put everything together. I was going to leave you out to high and dry because you're obviously new and it's not worth my time. I already knew what kind of person you were from the start. When you start and you post in your posts that you don't care about anything and things like that, then I'm not going to care on my reply. I'm going to ask you to kindly get rid of your post and I'm going to move on. And then he posted crap about, my dude, you have power fisting in your goddamn link. Your power listing in your link. About fandom.com, wiki, killing instinct and killing intent and all of this other stuff. So you've done some sort of research, but you haven't researched the actual game itself. Which is really just adds to the frustration. Then you have the audacity to post links for somebody to follow when you haven't done any type of research on your own base game Dead by Daylight. At the end of the day, we are writing content for Dead by Daylight. We all know what killing intent, we all know what killing instinct and all of that is. We all know this by base. Real life wise and game wise, we know both definitions of all of that. We don't need to go to any type of fandom site or anything like that. Anything that is Jeff the Killer, we don't even need to know what Jeff the Killer is. The only thing we're focused on is balance for Dead by Daylight. You need to get out of Jeff the Killer's butt and find out about Dead by Daylight. That's like me going to Pokemon and trying to introduce your concept. Well, I don't care about the Pokemon aspects of fighting and all of that, but this is what Jeff the Killer does. This is his powers. Good day. Everybody in Pokemon's like, bro, it has nothing to do with Pokemon. Why are you here? Said this has nothing to do with Dead by Daylight. Why are you here? You're just making a Jeff the Killer. He then, Critical comes back and says, hey, brother, all of your stuff's jack and it's exploitable. Then comes back at the end with that, no, because psychology isn't a thing that can't be studied, right? Yeah. Just assuming I'm not someone with antisocial personality disorder either. Exactly. Just gonna disregard what misinterpretations even are in the first place. Exactly. Exactly. He's the one that brought this idea to you that you're misinterpreting something. And you threw his idea, or what he was saying, back in his face. You know what that is an example of? That's an example of an unintelligent, ignorant, I can't say the last word. Unintelligent and ignorant individual. You're a coward. A huge coward, and you're over prideful. It's not bad to say, oops, I made a mistake. You don't need to fight back and shoot back every single thing that's said to you. Sometimes you just need to stop and listen. Once you listen, process through what's being said to you, and then do whatever you feel needs to be done. But keep in mind, if you have 7 different people telling you the same exact thing, maybe you should think a little bit harder about what you're doing, especially if they have supporting details and things like that, like Critical Fish has done here. He even told you that your perk is exploitable and how to exploit it, and you still turn your nose up at him. Again, Jeff's bloodlust is an excuse for him to kill people. Don't try to justify the poor writing. It was, unfortunately. I love it for you to rewrite it in a brief summary for the backstory section, legitimately. Exactly. But I mean, like, brother, you have all of this Jeff the Killer, and you want to put people the websites and things like that, and you want to talk about, hey, look at this website and all of this. Again, put it in the lore. We shouldn't have to go to any type of secondary sources to get information about your particular killer. If you want to try to throw it at us, put it in the lore. Put it in the lore. You have a whole wiki pulled up. Summarize it, rewrite it, shorten it, put it down as lore. Anything you feel that needs to be explained, put it down as lore. We're being an idiot. And if it is super long, rewrite it yourself so you're not plagiarizing and just copying crap. And then put a link to it somewhere. I'm not going to click on it, but somebody might click on it and, want to find out about it. They can do the research on their own and they can find these websites. But don't just grab somebody else's information on a written article or something like that unless you're going to, cite your sources. So we get past all of this. What are these links even for? Seriously, I know how fiction tends to treat this stuff. I don't like how fiction tends to treat it either, though. Hunter x Hunter, tying it into its power system is cool AF. Is there a problem with that? No idea, I didn't click the link, so I really have nothing to say there. Guys, I'm not going to make the concept where survivors can have more advantages than the killer. This is as balanced as it needs to be. We're really going into this now. When was this even brought up? Enlighten me. That's a good point. When has anybody brought up that this particular killer needs to have less advantages than the survivor? You're literally just making up excuses at this particular point in time just so you can push back. Your pride's going 120% right now to cover all of that ego that you have that you feel like you're losing instead of just being an individual saying, hey, I messed up, guys, I'll fix it, and go up on your way, down your own path. Is it too much to ask for a relatively functional design? You asked for thoughts, you've been given thoughts, now you're upset. That right there is where I have come down. This is why I'm back here. This guy asking for thoughts. Two peoples went out of their way to give him lots of thoughts. For one, he asked, is there anything that needs to be changed? Like, he just gave you a 3-paragraph freaking essay on things wrong with your concept. If you can't take the context clues from that and apply it towards your own concept, you don't need to be making concepts anyway. You asked for feedback, not somebody else to rewrite your concept for you. And this is what they have literally been doing. As I scroll down more, they literally start writing this dude's concept for him. And he still don't listen. Is what's funny about it. You've seen what I just went over, and he still don't listen. This maniacal matro. or stupid dummy. Guys, I'm not gonna take any more out of this concept. It's balanced as it needs to be. I'll not sit here and make the difficulty for the killer hard. This killer, as it sets, will never be hard. With 6.9 meter per second and like, what was it, 15 meter tear radius or something stupid like that, like 16 meters, it's never going to be hard to play. Ever. In anybody's life. It's never going to be a hard killer. It'll be easy, is as high as it'll go. Right now, it's very easy with all of these stacking effects and perks. Almost brainless. If I take any more stuff out, I'll break the entire concept. One, people aren't telling you to take things out. You are misinterpreting what people are saying. Except for me, I'm telling you to scrap the whole thing and redo it. It'd be a lot better if you just erased it and restarted from scratch. Sometimes some people need to do that, especially when they're new posting. You need to just erase the concept and then restart it. The second time you write the concept, it'll probably be better. Nobody's asking you to take things out. We're not telling you to pull things out. We're telling you to balance it respectively. Now, in some cases, to balance, you have to take things out because one perk that you have literally has every status effect in the game. If you want to balance it with every status effect in the game, every status effect would only last like 1 full second. And then you wouldn't have any type of usability out of your perk. The whole aspect of balancing. Again, that's why I invited you to look at other people's concepts. Look at other people's concepts. Do research over the game. Go to Dead by Daylight perks. Look at their killers. Look at everything to get some sort of balance of understanding for yourself. One does not simply jump into writing or creating and just make a huge, impressive concept. If you don't understand the material you're trying to create, it's not going to work. This isn't some fantasy storyline, it's a fantasy story that you're writing and everybody's just going in and saying, it's bad. Like, no. These are already predefined everything. All you have to do is balance yourself to the template of a game that you have in front of you. How is it that hard for you? You obviously don't have the creative instinct because your entire concept is trash. You need to talk to another creator or talk to somebody else that has more knowledge in the game. And as you create this concept with them, they need to have you on some sort of short leash to where they can pull your leash when you're starting to get out of control. And yes, that was supposed to be insulting. It's supposed to be very insulting. Like you're a small little puppy dog that can't stay on one path. You keep going over there to sniff this, and go over there to pee on that, and go over there to try and eat that. Somebody needs to hold that leash to keep you walking down the straight path. You're so full of yourself and such bad talent for being that full of yourself. If you had a couple of successful bangers and you started to get full of yourself, then all you would need is just, to be brought down to earth. But you're already up there, like you've put out 100 different bangers of killer concepts that have been implemented into the game. Like you're a dev working on Dead by Daylight, is how you're acting. And then when us plebs are like, yeah, this isn't right, you're like, how dare you? I'm the creator of Dead by Daylight. How dare you say my thing's bad? Everything that I've done this far is so and so. And it's like, no, it's trash. Your concept's trash. Your concept's trash. Concept's trash. Get rid of it. Delete it. Restart over. That's simple. Don't look at it. Just delete it all Restart over. I can see that you took the time to look up Jeff the Killer. One half of everything seems to be different. You seem to know a lot about Jeff the Killer. Even though you said you don't care if he's implemented in the game, you just wanted to get your idea out. We understand that, but your idea as it's coming out is complete and utter bullcrap. So, you understand the Jeff the Killer aspect, but you don't understand the Dead by Daylight aspect. With only 25 posts, you don't have a lot of rep, like me. I had to build up my reputation. I had to go in and say, hey guys, I know exactly what I'm talking about. I'm a reviewer by trade. I've been playing the game since it came out. I might not have a lot of posts, but here I'm very knowledgeable about said game. And they said, oh, hey, maybe you are a little knowledgeable about the game. Okay. And then from there, I started building up my repertoire and everything else and my profile, and people know, at least some people know who I am and what I do. Now, I could push myself harder and, commenting at every single section, all that, but it's actually against forum rules for me to say, hey, I have YouTube videos, come look at them. It's against the forum. That's why every once in a while, I'll jump into a concept and I'll be like, hey, I'm doing a live review, come check out my YouTube. Every once in a while, I'll do that. Now, like Galenonum and things like that's been semi-reporting me because, he's writes in the bottom of his concept that he's looking forward to my review and things like that, and he's been kind of openly advertising, but in a way that won't get him in trouble. If I could get a seal of approval or symbol of approval or something like that people could add to their concepts that they generally want me to see and make an actual video of, that would be an increase. And people would be like, well, what's that symbol for? And people would be like, oh, well, the symbol's for, I want Qtastic to review my work and all of that. He's really good, I check out some of his content, etc., etc. But we're not that far yet. I still want to get to know a lot of the creators and things like that and go from there. He says if he takes more stuff out, he'll break the entire concept. Cordycep's recommendations were more balanced. At this point, the concept is not really overpowered. You're a line sack of potatoes, son. Those links were to show you how bloodlust could be projected. If what you're saying was true, Michael Myers would be nothing more than a catatonic asylum patient who wanders off out of his own cell on an annual basis. Did you not see the final movie? The final Michael Myers movie? How Michael was just typically standing there in a box with a chain on him. He doesn't talk to anybody. He doesn't do anything. He just goes through life. He's not catatonic, but he has no ill will. He wasn't killing any of the inmates near him or anything like that. Michael Myers is solely based off of obsession. He killed his sister, and now he wants to go after, Laurie Strode. And he goes after her again and again and again. Michael doesn't kill, doesn't do any particular time in the interim period, except for when his obsession starts, except when that evil within starts to kick up. In the last movie, Michael was chill. They brought his mask back to him, which started him up again and all of that. He ended up trying to get transferred to where they were going to seal the deal and put him away forever. And the bus crashed and a whole bunch of other things happened and he got loose. So Michael said, hey, I'm loose. This guy has shown me my mask. Everything that was suppressed has now been brought back up. I'm going to go kill her. again, or try to kill her again. I'm going to do the only thing that I know, the only thing that speaks to me, the things that's whispered and bouncing around in my particular head. I'm going to do it. So I wouldn't say catatonic, but Michael Myers is just almost an empty shell that moves, that takes basic commands, that doesn't do anything. He doesn't talk to people. He doesn't really show aspects of being human. But then the mask and everything else comes out, and then he starts getting that evil within, and then he starts immediately. A switch flips, and he's in action killing people to get to where he wants to go. Anybody that stands in his way of getting, a weapon or anything like that, or, witnesses, he'll take out. As long as you stay out of his way, you generally don't have to worry about dying or anything like that. But if you're at the area of the scene of things that are happening, yeah, you're probably going to die. Especially if he catches you, off guard. Very smart when it comes to killing things. He's always killed in a way to where he doesn't typically get caught in areas until, Laurie comes in. Once Laurie comes in, all of his sense of thought goes, and he's just this killing machine, taking out anything and everything to get to her. When they had his mask, he killed anything to get to the mask. Then he went after Laurie, and he killed anything on his way to get to Laurie. Any objects or obstacles were disposed of. So yeah, that would mean Michael Myers as being the embodiment of evil is a misinterpretation of psychopathy as well, but it's not. It is. Michael Myers isn't the embodiment of evil. That's just lore written to give him, a nice backstory. He literally had something wrong with him, picked up a knife, stabbed Judith, went after Laurie. And over the years, he kept going after Laurie. Every year, going after Laurie, after Laurie, after Laurie, after Laurie, after Laurie. Then towards the end, it may or may not be the final video, even though they kind of said it was. I don't think it is. I think it's just, well, I'm not gonna spoil anything for people that ain't. I mean, I guess I have spoiled some of the story because the movie's very short, but I'm not gonna spoil much more of the Michael Myers topic. But yeah, the whole thing is the evil within. The evil within Michael Myers comes out, and he works and does things based off of that. If he was the embodiment of evil, he would be literally the devil. That is what the devil is described as in some religions, is the embodiment of evil. So no, Michael Myers' psychology and all of that is a misinterpretation. It's a psychopathy. It is. It is very. It is one of the biggest misinterpretations of psychopathy. It really is. You say it's not, but it is. Any type of horror movie that isn't based off any type of, real story, obviously, is a misinterpretation of it. But that's what makes them horror. They just explain it just enough to where the general public can get something from it. Then he goes back and hooks the cordyceps. What do you think? I made changes you said would be better. So you literally, without thinking, like that sick puppy dog, went in and changed everything that cordyceps said. You didn't think about whether or not it would work for your killer. You didn't think about anything besides what he told you to change. You just changed exactly what he said, and then boom, you're asking him what does he think. Comes back in days later after all of this arguing and things like this. Look, sorry for the negative comments. I understand you guys are truly trying to help me with the concept since that's what I asked for. I just need things to add, not excuses for me to stop making the concept. Fine, I'll change the name and see what else I can change. You're looking for things to add is the problem. We don't want you to add anything else. We want you to balance what's there. Stop adding crap. Adding is the problem here. This is why we're not getting 2 and 2 to equal 4. You think your killer needs more things added to it to make it stronger and all of that. If you played Dead by Daylight more and actually, put time into it and did research and everything else, like that's the main theme of everything I've been saying, you would know that you've added too much and you would have a better sense of the word balance. Nobody said anything about stop making the concept. Not a single person told you to stop making the concept. Dave said rework the concept. I said throw it in the trash and restart it. Nobody said stop making it. We all want you to make it. We all support you making it. We just don't want you to go down this bad path that you're already going down. I was more tough lovey, and I said, hey, throw your entire idea in the trash and rewrite it again. Because the whole thing's unbalanced, the whole thing's just broken, and is essentially garbage. But I never said to stop making the concept. I mean, I told you to stop posting on the forum. That without a doubt. You don't need to post on the forum until you become more experienced at creating something. Right now, you're literally just throwing in extra detritus that doesn't need to be there. But you're a rare poster. I don't see your name popping up a lot, or at least if you do, I don't really particularly take note, or I've just been skipping your concepts. So nobody's telling you to stop making it. Everybody's just telling you to make it better. Put time into it. Quit being lazy. Quit being argumentative. Fix your concept. You changed the name. Good start. You're actually going back and looking at your concept to see if there's other things that need to be changed. Okay, makes sense. That's a good change. Again, Critical Fish corrects you for the third time about illnesses. He kind of knows what he's talking about, believe it or not. Michael Myers is a fictional character. Fake. Not a very good representation of mental illness. Definitely, he's defined as evil himself. Anyone calling any real people with a person with a chronic illness, that is the evil one. Exactly. If you are demonizing anybody with a mental illness, you are the evil person themselves. But people that don't have mental illnesses don't understand what mental illnesses are. And they probably, for the most part, never will. For average person, they don't care enough. Only thing they see is, hey, if somebody does something to me, I have the mental capacity to not do it back, If somebody calls me an a-hole, I'm not just going to beat the crap out of them or shoot them. Well, that's nice. You have a regular working brain, and your brain tells you, hey, this guy just called me an a-hole. There's no need to get or escalate this, Let me just grab my things and leave. Someone with a mental illness, there's other triggers that pop before that. You call somebody an a-hole, they could literally pull out a gun and shoot you before they even think about it. Just off of their basic instinct. Pow! You're dead. Then afterwards, the brain turns on and they're like, man, this guy's kind of an a-hole. Oh, God, what did I do? And these sporadic actions and choices and things like that, somebody calls you an a-hole and you immediately hurt them or hit them, or you immediately retort because you're very neurotic. You retort back with something else that's worse, you know. Oh, you're an a-hole. Okay, and I'll kill your entire family. Those just retorts that you get right off the bat. It's that mental health, the brain firing, or in some cases, misfiring, that can't be controlled. Do you think you really have time to control what they're thinking of and everything else while also dealing with you being toxic towards them? No. They're fighting themselves more than they're fighting you. And you keep adding on and adding on and adding on till they eventually snap because you think it's funny, or you're trying to get a lawsuit or something like that. And then you end up dead, and then who wins? The guy with mental health society doesn't care for. He's going to go directly to jail or to a mental health institution for the next couple of years, and then he's going to be released right back out on the streets again. You just gave up your life because you thought it's funny to poke the bear. If people don't understand at all how mental health affects individuals. And it's extremely sickening when you hear people that don't have mental health say, well, just don't do that. Like, yeah, if you think if I couldn't physically just not do that, you think that I wouldn't do that. I would be exactly like you, you know? When I punched the guy in the face for calling me an a-hole, if you think I, you know, you thought for a second that I didn't want to resort to violence there or resort to violence there, maybe I wouldn't resort to violence, you know? You think I have control of this trigger? No. I can take mental health counseling and I can take medication to try and force my body to slow down at some times. But once that particular trigger is hit, it's hit. It doesn't matter how much training and all of that you've had. When somebody takes you to that point, your body reacts instinctively, naturally. It's like when something's being thrown at your face, how you immediately cover your face with your hand. That's how mental health works. You're going to protect your face from being hit. If something happens, the mental health comes into effect and protects the face. When the mental health retaliates, if somebody's running at you with a stick or something like that, the mental health is what retaliates. It's instinctual. What you're trying to learn in the medicine and in everything else that you take is trying to help you learn and slow yourself down to where you can have a sort of control in the basics of situations. You're never going to get rid of your mental health. And that's another common conception that most people don't understand. You cannot get rid of your mental health. You're going to be in therapy, you're going to be in counseling, you're going to be taking medicine, and you're going to have these problems the remainder of your life. And if the mental health condition magically vanishes, then guess what? You probably didn't have the mental health condition to begin with. You were misdiagnosed, and you probably could have been treated a long time ago for it. But mental health never goes away. You can try to control it, you can try to take it down a couple of notches, but anybody that triggers that state in you, it's going to happen. It's just that simple. Regular people don't understand that. Guess I should pop that up. They don't. They really don't. If you have actual OCD and you're compulsive about things, you can make your mind, you can teach your mind, hey, I'm being compulsive about something. I need to slow down and possibly count, every third line or every 10th line, or maybe I should start counting, something else, or I should change my view towards something else and shift that compulsion over to, instead of counting lines, I start excessively cleaning, or I start obsessively writing in a journal or something like that. You can try to bend that to something more positive. Instead of getting extremely angry and doing something, maybe I can go work out. and put that energy towards something else. But at baseline, your initial mental health, like anger management or something like that, again, it's instinctual. Like somebody throwing something at your face. The anger is what's going to come across your hand and protect you first. Then later on, when your brain's ever to come up, then your regular hand goes in front of your face to protect yourself. If your anger is already dealt with the problem before your regular hand comes up to protect yourself, then, it is what it is. You're there with whatever consequences that are there. And the sad thing is, most people with mental health don't go out looking for problems. Problems always find us because somebody who has either less mental health or no mental health is typically judgmental or tries to push the bullet or bucket that, hey, you're not normal. I'm going to do something to piss you off. They're in a bad mood. They come in, they push you out of the way and take your spot in line, or they cut in front of you, or they do something that directly involves you when you were just minding your own business. And one, since you're caught off guard, you're already going to be susceptible to your mental health taking over you. But also, because you're caught off guard, you have even less time to react for the instinctual things that come over you. Somebody cuts in front of you and you grab them and you throw them back through the glass door that they come from because they caught you off guard, and your body's trying to protect itself, or your ego is trying to protect yourself when you're angry and somebody's, all up in your business and doesn't approach you respectfully or anything like that. They come up to you, hey, MFer, this and that and that and another, you suck at this, you need to do this and that and all this other crap, and they approach you the wrong way, and you end up severely crippling them because of it. Now, there are different stages in mental health. You have your acute stages, which is, your extreme stages. You have your regular stages, your medium stages. Some stages, only pop up under extreme stress. Some are present all the time. You got your chronic, which has been going on for a long time, and the traits you acquire as you go through life that just pop up because something happened. You can develop mental health at any point in your life. And it's a real funny thing to talk to people that had mental health problems and didn't even know they had mental health problems. It's very funny pointing out that, hey, you have mental health problems, you might want to get that checked out. And they're like, no, I don't. And then you prove it by doing a particular action that you know is going to set them off. And then they immediately snap back and do something just off the wall, that crap crazy. And then you go, hey, watch this. And you do the same thing to another person. And they're like, can I help you? You're like, why are you touching me? Or something like that. It's like, look at the differences in your reactions. I poked somebody that I randomly didn't even know, and they looked at me like I was crazy. And then they asked me, like a regular person, can I help you? What are you doing? And once they figured out that you're messing around, they say, please don't touch me. Versus when I touched you, you immediately slapped me in the face or punched me or did something just off the wall crazy, or you flipped out, jumped up, started screaming, don't touch me, or something crazy like that. It's like, yeah, you have mental health. It might not be extreme, it might be minor, or it might be mild in particular situations, but hey, guess what? It's setting you off. It's a problem, an issue that you need to work through. Something in your life's caused that. Anyway, I agree. Michael Myers is fictional, and he's not a very good representation of mental illness. And the fact that that guy is using Michael Myers as an example is sad in and of itself. Again, nobody's saying to remove anything. Everybody's been saying to rework the whole thing. Nothing works together. Nothing is original. Nothing is focused. Exactly. Again, I don't see anyone telling you to delete the thing or anything. Everybody's telling you to redo it. Nobody's telling you to just drop this and leave. I'm telling you to leave the forum. I'm personally 100% am telling you to leave the forum. I would be so happy to see you go. And even happier to watch you leave. But no, I would definitely, until you have the qualifications to make a simple post, or at least lurk or do something like that, and not present yourself in the way that you have, especially when other experienced people that have made multiple creations are trying to help you in any shape, form, or way. And you're disregarding the old people that's been here trying to help you. Don't be here. Don't like it? Don't be here. If you want to argue with everybody, don't come here. He just goes into more things. More potential issues and things like that is what he goes over. You guys know Critical Fish. He's doing his thing here. Cordyceps comes back in and even tells him it's definitely a step in the right direction. This is where he's screwing up. There definitely doesn't seem to be any more stuff that is contradictory towards other parts of his kit. I also do like how the teleport cooldown is reduced for each survivor that's entered. That's a nice way to reward playing him as well. Some of the numbers could use some tweaking though. Enduring already lets you recover from stuns very quickly. That's the name of the perk, Enduring. And that's a 50% reduction, which I went over. Bringing Go to Sleep, Slam's cooldown closer to that would be more balanced. No, that's a terrible idea. That is a terrible idea. Why would you bring the cooldown closer to a perk that already exists instead of just having him run that perk as part of his actual set? That is a terrible thing to say. You're the one that he's respecting, you're the one he's listening to, and you're giving him some really dumb advice right now. You're the one that has his attention. He's new. He's going to listen to everything that you say over everybody else, Cordyceps. I've read some of your concepts. Some have been decent, some have been good, but why are you going off on this dumb tangent now with somebody who obviously doesn't want to listen to anybody else? The teleport cooldown being reduced for each survivor that's injured doesn't really matter. Like I said, 6.9 meters per second of speed. He can get to wherever he's going before he can teleport to it. And as you're saying, you like that the cooldown is reduced after each survivor that's injured. He doesn't even put base information about how long it takes to teleport, how he teleports, what's the teleport animation, when he comes out of the animation, things like that, Cordyceps. Be thorough. You have his attention. Don't brush him off now. There doesn't seem to be any more stuff that is contradictory towards other parts of the kit. Critical Fish just literally went over that, Cordyceps. What was contradictory towards the kit? He literally just went over that. What do you mean you don't see any more stuff? He literally just went over that. Literally. Your goddamn brain, son. Teleport cooldown being reduced after each survivor is injured. Again, doesn't matter. He moves at 6.9 meters per second. Doesn't matter. Doesn't go into the things that he needs to fix about the teleporting or anything like that, because he can teleport to literally anything. That's a nice way to reward him playing well. He has rewards of playing well. He has powers and other type of activations. He has perks that go with that. Then you actually pull out the perk saying enduring. You tell him exactly what the reduction is and all of that. And you're telling him to bring the slam speed cooldown closer to a perk that already exists. How's about you tell him to just get rid of that and just run enduring that already goes together with that. By design, he has 3 perks that he's already designed, and there's a 4th slot that's open. Why don't he just run Enduring if he's worried about stuns and things like that? He already has extreme speed. He should be susceptible to stuns. That is one of the weaknesses this particular killer should have. He should actually be stunned for longer whenever he does get stuns to balance out the excessive speed that he has. Use your goddamn brain. How about give him suggestions that actually make sense? Not, oh no, you should make your power exactly how the perk is. Yeah. Stupid. 30% buff to movement speed is kind of insane. Yes, it is. Guess what? He never changed it. It's basically double the speed of Legion and Feral Frenzy. Legion and Feral Frenzy is 4.6 meters per second. It's the same as regular killer movement speed. So if it's 30% greater than movement's speed and Feral Frenzy, then guess what? It's 30% faster than any other killer that's moving at 4.6 meters per second. This isn't true, by the way. He's just spitballing numbers. Quit being lazy. Double the speed of Legion's Feral Frenzy. Literally double Legion moves at the same base speed as every killer. Instead of using Legion, which he doesn't want his particular concept being compared to, use any killer. Say, hey, it's double the speed with the 30% of any regular killer. Much like stunning, any sort of adjustment to numbers is very noticeable. A lot of players are able to recognize the killer has increased their speed by 5%. Yeah, because NOAD. I do like the idea of having a killer that's noticeably faster for a period of time upon activating their power. Cordyceps, you're a fucking idiot. His base speed is 6.9 meters per second. 6.9. We're not even going to go into the 6.9 meters per second. And then a 30% buff to that 6.9. Well, 30% buff to the 4. Whatever 30% of that is. It'd be about a third. So it's going to be like 1.1 plus whatever the extra is on the side. So he would be essentially going around 8 meters per second after all of that. After the extra 30% increase in speed, he's going to be moving over 8. He's already noticeably fast, and then adding in that much more from 6.9 to over 8 is even more stupid. Both through movement speed and stun recoveries, the numbers could just be just use a little reeling in. A little? How's about a lot reeling in? I can't remember if it was there before, but I think I like the addition of being undetectable while stalking. He's already undetectable. By the time you hear his tear radius, he's coming around the corner to slap you. I mean, Spine Chill would be very good, but you still wouldn't have a lot of time to react to him because of how insane his speed is. His small tear radius allows him to get in close before concealing his presence entirely. Cordyceps, shut up. Stop talking. Just stop talking. The loss of the red stain is something I'm a little conflicted over. Part of me thinks that with how fast he's become, survivors should be able to know when he's near. It's called a tear radius. That's called a tear radius. They're not even going to see the red stain because of how fast he is. Do you not understand that my dude's moving so fast by the time, even if you see the red stain, it's going to be after he hits you? Like, how does nobody understand the concept of the speed in all of this? Cordyceps, you're a fucking idiot, dude. His small structure gives him a leg up over Myers in terms of stealth, and the fact that his ability to stalk not tied to a cooldown, give him a leg up over Ghostface, making him unique. No, it's taking both of their concepts together and then increasing the speed of both of them and using that. That is not what you want to do in any type of creation. You're even calling out here that he's using different aspects from different killers, combining them together, and then buffing them. Don't do this. Cordyceps, you're a fucking idiot. The loss of the red stain is something I'm a little conflicted over. It's negligible based off the speed. And then he says something, another part of me as well. His terror radius is increased by 50%. They're going to know he's coming in for a while. 50%, not very much when he already has such a low terror radius. I think it ended up being like, what, 18 or something like that? 18 meter radius, which isn't that far with an increase of 50%. They're not going to know he's coming for a while. Could you clear something up for me? In the power, it says upon activation, survivors within his terror radius become incapacitated if they were interacting with props. Does it only apply to the initial activation of the power? Does it apply to every time someone is in his terror radius for the duration of the power? It's for the duration of the power. I don't know where the fuck you're coming from. Again, Critical Fish, despite being how he is at times, has good points. Being rewarded for playing bad. Nobody should be rewarded for playing bad. The change counting sheep is good. No comment outside of that. It's counting sheep. Counting sheep. This one. When survivors are hooked for the first time, they get the 8% increase of speed for 20 seconds. It's very meh, but every killer should have a meh perk. It's not good and it's not bad at the same time. For me personally, I would say that it's useless because you have to combine it with other perks for it to achieve any type of value. Now, with things like, Ruin and, all the other meta perks that people want to run, to have to give up one of those particular perk slot in order to combo this perk with something else makes it not very worthwhile. If you get a movement speed bonus, it's not helping regular killers out unless they know exactly where, they're headed to. 20 seconds is way too long. The movement speed shouldn't get you all the way entirely to another generator. It should just give you a slight boost in speed, like the Blight Serum, for example. How it gave you a slight boost in speed in the direction that you were going, that only lasted a little bit of time. And how you got another speed boost after every hook. This is exactly what this is. This is the Blight's Serum. Except the activation is you have to be on a Scorch Hook. It's not hard to get a survivor on a Scorch Hook. And I can understand, and I can even agree, that you can increase the amount of the movement speed timer since you have to do something extra. But you're using that extra that you get by scaling the amount of movement speed you get per token. First 8, then 16, then 24, then after the last one you'll get a 32% increase in movement speed for 20 seconds. On top of the 6.9 meters per second. You're up to game-breaking speeds at that point, plus all the other perks you're trying to run. So the Scorch Hook increases your regular movement speed. 8% per token is absolutely stupid, by the way. Again, the Blight Serum that you can get with the special Halloween med kits and all of that you can run it in. Look that up. You get an activation of that once per hook, regularly. You want yours to scale, you put it on a Scorch Hook. Good start. But guess what? You need to go back in and scale this to around about what the serum actually does. So you're not getting this huge speed boost that lasts for a long amount of time. For those of you watching, I don't remember what it was called. Blight Serum. No. Killer. Yeah, there we go. Here. U allows you to dash forward at 200% of your default movement speed for 2.5 seconds. The downside is it replaces your power, so you can't use your power till you use this particular boost. Starts with 1 token, you get 1 token each time you hook a survivor. All of this right here. It's a regular Blight Serum token perk. It's got all the speed you need for that. You want scaling and things like that? Then all you gotta do is take this base concept and balance it and add it to your particular concept. Keep in mind, though, you are using the Blight Serum. I mean, granted, obviously you're not going to be able to bounce off walls or anything like that, but you are going to be taking power away from the Blight itself by having this. Because anybody running the Blight might have an issue with this. Granted, it's only on the first hook, which makes more sense and makes it more usable. So like I said, you have good ideas, just your implementation of them is absolute dog crap garbage. You need some sort of counseling from somebody that's not Cordyceps, because he don't know what he's talking about half the time. But you need the help of somebody to implement what you're trying to do. And it's not that hard. Like I said, if you did research about the game, you would have found Blight Serum from the event. You would have been able to say, hey, this is similar to my perk. You would be able to say, hey, Blight Serum does 200% speed for 2.5 seconds. You're increasing your movement speed by 8% for 20 seconds. It's the 20 seconds that's the killer here. Just your killer alone would go from 6.9 to what, 13.8? 13.8 of movement speed over the 2.5 seconds is what it said. So that's I'm gonna say 14. 14 times 2 is 28. And then you take half of 14, which is 7. 28 plus 7 is 35. You could move 35 meters in 2.5 seconds using that Blight Serum on your killer with no additional speed boost. With this, didn't I say it was like 400 something meters or something like that? I didn't even know. It was a different perk that I went through that on. So let's get rid of the 8% increase in speed. Let's say there's no speed increase. 20 seconds worth of time just by your base killer. That is 6.9 times 20. That's 138 meters your killer can move by base. Increased 8% movement speed was... You know, I really don't know. I can go 10% and say point... Oh yeah, the 8% was like, what, 0.5 or something? So you add 0.5 to that and you can do the math to get whatever that equals up to. And then whatever that is, which I think it's still around somewhere around 0.5 times 4, which would give you 2. So 2 extra meters per second or somewhere around there. I'm not doing all the full math on that one. I'm just kind of doing quick math so I could be off significantly. But it's going to be a significant amount of added time to the end of that. And all of that is extended out 20 seconds. So even if it's, say, zero point 0.5 is what the number is. And that's 0 0.5 going over 10 seconds. That's an extra 10 meters per second on top of the regular, I think I said 138 is the math that I got from that. You can go a significant distance with your killer in a short amount of time. Which is why this needs to be more balanced towards something that already exists in the game. The Blight Serum is an event item. The only reason you can get away with this is because it's an event item that you can use and you have to bring. This is that event item put into perk form, which is why I would accept this because it's already put into the game. It's just not implemented correctly, which makes it trash. And even though Critical Fish says he sees nothing wrong with it, I do. I really do. That's where I would have to disagree with what he's saying is that there's something in the game that you can already make a template off of. So the change counting sheep is good. Yes, it's more in a positive direction, but it also needs to be redone again. Obviously. I'm not gonna go anything like that. It said, besides what Cordyceps has gone over, there are a few weird things remaining with the power. He won't be touching on things they've already talked about, though, as he mostly agrees. There you go. Incapacitating survivors for up to 60 seconds is stupid. I went over that originally. There you go. Despite the lack of creativity in Jeff the chef himself, you've got a ton of ways you could work a sneaky boyo with a knife that isn't stalking. A stalking just isn't Jeff's thing. Michael Myers stalks to learn everything about his targets. Ghostface stalks to do the same. What does Jeff stalk for? To learn their bedtime? Essentially, yeah. There you go. Actually, it's only when you prevent survivors from escaping beyond the exit gates. Even if there are 3 survivors who escaped, you can't kill the last survivor. When was this mentioned? When was this mentioned? This was not mentioned at all. This is something that you kept in your head. This was never mentioned during your concept. When you talk about killing the last survivor and they're getting exposed and things like that, by literal definition, if there is 1 survivor's left, bang, you can bonk them and you can send them on their way. See, this is what I'm talking about when I say you need to explain in detail everything. We do not know what's going in your mind. We do not know the balances, the knick-knack paddywhacks of everything that you're going over. We do not know. You need to explain this to us. I guarantee you, it's just his ego taking over, and he was been called out on it. So he immediately threw a comment out saying, well, obviously, if this happens, this can't happen. He's covering for himself. It's his ego. He's full of crap. He designed it to where it's sort of like Rancor, and he can take out the last survivor. It's as simple as that. Rancor exists. Get rid of your mini Moris. Stop putting in mini Moris. Stop putting in mini Moris. Stop putting in mini Moris. Yeah, nobody in this creation forum probably has any type of idea how to properly implement a mini Mori in a design. There are some that I've seen that have come close, but no. Stop putting in mini Moris. Especially for the last survivor, because Rancor exists. Shouldn't be part of your actual killer's powers. What is this mystical it here? If it's referring to the weird additional Mori thing built in, then I never mentioned that for the reason of it's pointless. It's practically a vestigial mechanic that is just a waste of space on the post. Stop putting mini Moris. Stop putting mini Moris. Stop putting mini Moris. Well, so is Pyramid Head's The Executional Final Judgment. No. Pyramid Head's Final Judgment worked as by design because you, as a survivor, have to be dumb enough to step into his trail. If you avoid Pyramid Head's trail, and you actually use your mind, because Pyramid Head's trail always leaves a hole that you can get to the survivor. Or, you know, if you just pretty sure you can crouch through it too and not accept any type of negatives as well. You crouch through it or you just straight up avoid it. And they made it to where if a Pyramid Head drags his sword across the survivor, that a hole's going to pop up that survivors can go through majority of the time. Sometimes it bugs and it doesn't do that, but you can always just crouch and go through said thing. Not only are you alerting him with Killer Instinct when you step into his actual trail, you're giving him the ability to mini-mori you on your last hook. It is something stupid that a survivor does that enables that to happen. The moment you step into that particular trail or run into that particular trail, you yourself are saying that I accept that I can be moried on my death hook. And that is very good for Pyramid Head. Because, I mean, Pyramid Head does have a good slash attack and a decent ranged attack, but all of that is based off prediction because it doesn't immediately go. He uses it, the symbols and stuff pop up on the ground, and then the attack goes. It's not an instantaneous like the Huntress's hatchet. When she throws it, it don't just go and then hit somebody. Even though Huntress has a charge up, to be fair. That's why the Mori versus on Pyramid Head's still there. Nobody said, hey, the ability to Mori is way too powerful. I hate Pyramid Head. I'll never play this killer. People aren't rage quitting when they immediately go up against the Pyramid Head. For a reason, because it's been balanced to give him that. Then for other people that want to have any type of mini Mori, they introduced a perk for that called Rancor. You can have your mini Moris, guys, but guess what? You're giving up a perk slot for it. And this particular perk's going to be absolutely useless for you until in-game. So if you're having a very bad day, a very bad game and all of that, which is why Rancor works very well on Spirit, because, you know, it's a high learning curve. You're having a very bad day and you just want to try to get that one kill. You can stay up your session's butt, and at the end of the game, get your Rancor out and all the other survivors will escape. In exchange for getting this Rancor, you're allowing survivors time to open up exit doors and escape from you. It's that simple. You can trade 3 people getting away or whatever remaining survivors getting away for a kill. Or if you've killed all the other 3 survivors, it gives you a way just to clean up and continue on to the next game. It's very balanced Pyramid Heads wise. Do I like it? No, but they at least took the time to extensively test it and balance it as to where it's not too OP. Also, the possibility of using it is rare, and if the killer wants to achieve such a privilege, they must sacrifice as many survivors as they can. Well, that's the issue if we're still talking about the Mori. Your character moves, again, at 6.9 meters per second base, and he has a whole bunch of things that increases his speed. This stupid links, plus perk. Excuse me. You're always going to get the Mori because you're a fast boy. At least you should, majority of the times, get the Mori. Because you're going to go through bam, 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 knocking survivors down. It takes 80 seconds to complete a base generator with a single survivor on it, and that's the most efficient way, is each survivor doing a separate generator. When you have as much speed as you do, you're going to be getting quick downs and going from place to place to place to place. Not to mention that every time you go and do the Legion thing that you don't want to be compared to, and you get that 30 seconds worth of chase, there's no point of even chasing that survivor anymore. If you spend over 30 seconds, which you're bad, by the way, if you take over 30 seconds to down a survivor with 6.9 meters per second movement speed, you can then, hello Galanonum, you can then switch to another survivor and do the Legion thing of finding them, hitting them, getting 30 seconds off them. If you can't down them, switch to another target for another 30 seconds. And then lather, rinse, and repeat until you get the entirety of your bar filled. Getting all of those super buffs and immediately taking everybody down. He actually says the Blade Smile rework, it's on the right track, but it doesn't seem like I'd stack its slowdown effect is kind of minimum. It were maybe 16%, but the slowdown didn't stack also. I don't even know what he's talking about there. He says it does stack with itself. I don't know what they're talking about there. I'm skipping that. They're just having a mini conversation. And we get to the end of this, where he says he wanted to try to make a power that allows him to torment survivors through injured survivors. You know, when you see a mutilated corpse and go into shock from how extremely cruel the injuries are. What do you think? There's a second page. It would depend on the execution. However, I do not think it can be done well. By Manacle, definitely not. Also, I'm not, we're going to another thing. Oh, okay, that perk. Also, I'm not referring to Infectious Fright. I mean a progression penalty when survivors perform actions like healing, repairs, cleansing, and unhooking, etc., etc. And they're just kind of wrapping things up here. It's just wrapping up. Yeah, there's no need to go any farther. And this is the return to the killer concept, the Psychopath. Again, it is garbage. It needs to be thrown away and it needs to be rewrote. Instead of taking all of the mud and trying to write in the mud, he needs to clean the mud up and then redo it on actual solid ground. Right now, he's just trying to draw in mud, and as soon as it rains, the mud's going to go back to regular mud. I'm going to go ahead and add a link to the Psychopath to this actual video, so I guess people will know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to name this after him because it's very terrible. There you go. There. Link's been added to the description. For anybody that's watching this, hello Galanonum. And you can follow along with whatever, whenever you feel like it. But back to the top, having a killer that has a tear radius of 12 meters and a base movement speed of 6.9 meters per second is dumb. Dead by Daylight set the precedence on a regular killer having a higher tear radius and then a slower killer having a lower tear radius. Stick with the syllabus. Don't try to go out and create your own thing. Powers too strong. Everything needs to be rebuffed, reduced, and some things removed, the undetectable while stalking. While stalking in general, the movement speed is only decreased by 8%, which ends up being only 0.5 off of the 6.9. So you could literally non-stop stalk and still move at the same time and not have that much of a penalty. And by decreasing only 0.5 meters per second movement speed, the stun duration and all of that's going to be decreased by 90%. And you're going to get the undetectable status effect. Again, when you're moving that fast, it doesn't matter if you're undetected, whether you have a tear radius or whether or not you have a red stain. He's moving so fast that as soon as you hear the doo-doo, he's literally going to be around that corner in less than 2 seconds slapping you. So, doesn't matter any types of tweaks or anything like that. The speed essentially blows out half of the concept itself. The ability to teleport between every chest, generator, and locker. One, you're gonna have auras lining up over everything, and you're going to have teleports to places you necessarily don't want to be. Two, why give him the ability to teleport between generators like Freddy, and give him the ability to teleport into lockers, which are by generators, by the way, for the most part, unless it's, a locker way out in BFE. And then chests. Why chests? Well, I mean, I know why chests and lockers and all that. He wants to be able to teleport back into the basement, obviously. But chests don't make any kind of sense to be able to teleport to. None. None at all. 60-second cooldown, cool. But then you're going to reduce the cooldown 25% for every survivor. Well, the funny thing about it is, it's going to take him more time to teleport than it would be just to walk over. Unless it's, completely on the opposite side of map. But I mean, teleportation should have a range. None of the things that involve this teleporting is even spelled out. There's no range, there's no how you select things, there's no particular anything, the time it takes to go into the teleport, the time it takes to come out of the teleport. Nothing is defined here. Absolutely nothing. And despite all the people that's been trying to help him define this, that he's actually listened to, some of them have given good advice, some has given bad advice, but nobody's even talked about, hey, how's about you focus on the perks that you have and complete them. I'm not going to go over the perks again. The perks are... they're garbage disposal fodder. So, that's the Psychopath. Again, some people just don't need to be posting until they understand the concept of everything and how to, the flow chart of making a new killer. The Ring trailer but a spin on it. Unfortunately, I'm not going to click on any links, anything like that, but apparently he took a dinosaur spin or a Jurassic Park spin on the Ring trailer. I don't click on links because I know what happens when you click on links. So there's that. I'm not going to go over any more big concepts. Item idea for our new Boon Totem mechanic. Is it still considered new? Ah, these. Yes, yes. I've actually went over these particular concepts. Yes, I remember. What did he edit? Let me just pull a Necro post real quick. I think this would still be cool to add. Oh, he literally just edited something to pull his concept back up to the top. That's it. He didn't even change anything. Sorry, buddy. I've already went over your thing before. I've already gave my ideas and things like that. No, not doing it again. Built-in abilities. I know where this is going, but let's see. Built-in abilities. So I was thinking to myself about how in Dead by Daylight, whenever someone plays Survivor, the only difference between them is how much noise one makes. um, what? I guess as they're being hooked or slapped, they make different noises, but noise radius is set through code. Even though one may have a deeper voice or something like that, they can all be heard from the same distance away. When you're actually on the field and grunting in pain and things like that, it's all same distance. It's like a bubble essentially. Whenever anybody walks within bubble, they hear sound. PC players play with headphones. It doesn't matter who it is or what they do or anything like that, but it's just you can hear them all. And also, the only difference between them isn't noise. That's not what I went off of. I figured they would say height or something like that. If we're talking about differences, I mean, there's obvious things about, outfits. Some outfits are more stealthier, some outfits are very flamboyant and like neon colored and, bright. The killer can easily pick them up, and you can't have every outfit for every survivor. So, cosmetic wise, they're different. Yes. And height wise, they're different. Different survivors have different heights. Their running animations and all of that, their physical presence are different. If you crouch behind some things with, let's say, Naya or one of the, smaller female characters, and you crouch behind an object with one of the male characters, the male will be higher. Standing next to each other, the males are higher. When they're all running, some of the males are a lot higher when they run than females that generally tend to sit lower in this game. Then you have Big Judy with the big booty, who you can see her butt sticking out from behind corners for days, son. Days if you ain't in the right position. She's also much thicker, which makes her easier to spot. Her clothes aren't very stealthy either. She has more like business and office attire and other types of things like that. So, but noise is interesting, the thing to pick out of all of that. I thought of an interesting thing to add to survivors and killers to even it out, which was to add small built-in abilities that make each survivor unique in their own way. Starting off, way back when, they tried to implement different characters being good at different things. They tried to make Meg like the scouting character that moves and is able to, scout ahead, do things like that. They tried to do that. They tried to make Dwight, the leader. That, when you're around Dwight and all of that, he does things faster. He motivates people to do things faster, etc., etc. Things with Claudette, Jake, all of that. They've tried these. They've tried to implement these. They successfully failed. Luckily, it was before the main release of the game, which, I mean, they might have messed around with it before or after. I don't remember afterwards. But they tried all of these ideas. You're just dredging up old memories for them. Guess what? It didn't work. Why? Because everybody wanted perks and everything else, or different survivors that they were playing, to be equal to the other survivors. Why should Meg be faster because she's a small, skinny girl? Why can't I have my, Dwight do the same thing? He's a small, skinny boy. I want Dwight to do everything that Meg does. I want Meg to do whatever Dwight does, etc., etc. and there was a large argument. Eventually, behavior said, fine, we'll make everything universal. You can play whatever your favorite character is, and you can use all the other perks that are in the game, and you don't have to worry about it. Universal. No more arguments, no more anything. And the community finally shut up. So, like Dwight, Quiet at Highland Lockers, things like that. All of these different effects on particular characters have already been tried, at least for the base. And the thing that you're going to have problems with is coming out with these small built-in abilities is that if somebody doesn't like the particular ability a character has, they're not going to use said character. Some people are, they stick to their character regardless of how good or bad or anything is. Most people will just see whatever they like the most out of this, and they'll pick their killer based on that. And if you have, or killer survivor based on that. And if you have a survivor that has an ability that's a lot better than any other survivors, you're going to have, meta-wise, everybody that plays this game semi-seriously using the same survivor. So now you're going to have duplicates of the only good survivors being used all the time. And trust me, it's a pain in the butt trying to keep track of who you hook there and things like that when everybody's using the same character. I kind of wish they made it be diverse, because by lore, two Megs can't exist at the same time. There's only one Meg. Stop letting them pick the same character, dang it. Because Gank Squads use the same character in the same outfit, so you don't know who to tunnel out. And that's one of the the powers of Gank Squads. And it's like, some of these are meh, like Claudette bleeds less after getting injured by a killer. That's very good, as opposed to after getting injured, her speed boost is slightly faster than normal by 3%. 3% is nothing. I would rather bleed less. Quieter's in lockers and can enter lockers much faster. How much is much faster? If it's like significantly fast, to where I don't need to use quick and quiet, then guess what? You've just gotten rid of quick and quiet. If it's another 2 or 3%, it's negligible. Bleeding less after getting injured by a killer is going to be significant regardless of how much you make it less, because it's a visual indicator of your particular killer. Jake, slightly faster sabotage speed with toolboxes. And that's not even including his perk. That's even faster with toolboxes. How much is slightly faster? Because if it's decently fast, then Jake's going to be one of, the bada bing bada boom people that you'll run during that particular challenge. Naya, better recovery when falling from great heights. Why? Because I'll get rid of balanced landing and just run Naya to get the better recovery from falling from great heights. Easy. Unless, again, if all of these are like 2%, it's not really going to make any changes in the staggering effect. If you're going to add an effect, it has to be at least noticeably different. Ace, or reading of all kinds, is increased for only him, slightly luckier. Well, luck only affects jumping off of Hook now. Or reading increased. What does that mean? You're talking about range? You're talking about, the brightness of the particular ores? Something like that. And like as you go down, you just have these generic things. Some fit well for the particular character, some don't. Like David, lasts slightly longer on second hook stage. Okay, if slightly longer is like 5 seconds, that doesn't matter. Oh, he's got an extra 5 seconds. Cool. No. Quentin, medkits work better on him. Again, it's like it's just not making sense. And half of these are mingling with their particular perks. Like Tap has the crawling perk. Crawling is slightly faster. He already has a perk that he uses for this. You don't need to boost that anymore. I understand where you're trying to go. You're trying to make it to where their particular perks that they have, at least one of their main stronger perks, you're trying to give it more value. And you're trying to implement this in a roundabout way. But you should have just directly stated that, hey guys, I think that a survivor using their regular perk should have some sort of boosted effect over another survivor that's just copying it. That's what you should have stated, as opposed to starting this whole perk or this whole chain of killers, apparently, and survivors, and doing it like this. Because now you just have a bunch of generic responses, some of which are good, some of which don't make sense, and some of which are bad. You're going to cull people's thoughts of wanting to buy these characters. Like Ash dropping pallets faster, you're buffing Ash and making people want to actually buy Ash. But I mean, like Jeff, or reading against him is reduced or something like that. What does that mean? If he's getting barbecued and chili, what does that mean? Like I said, is he brighter? Is he dimmer? Is he not get red at all? What does it mean? Adam, slightly better chance of rescuing yourself off first stage of the hook. But you only have a 4% chance. Slightly, even making it, like 5 or 6%, it's still a 6 out of 100 chance of actually, holy crap, he's low. A 6 out of 100 chance of it actually happening. That would be a good and even balanced idea to have that boost when you're using basic character perks. Yeah. If you just incorporated it as, a character using their particular perks are better at it than other characters, that would make sense. I mean, obviously, they would have to buff the other side of that, which would kind of create problems. Like, well, Jonah, he went skill check wise and things like that. But imagine Overcome being 3 seconds instead of 2 seconds or something like that, having an additional second or 0.5 seconds or something like that. That is a significant amount of distance added on as opposed to that. And if you get a nerfed perk that's teachable, people are going to be real upset. He's like, well, why do I bother even getting this character? Because the main that I want to run it on is going to be worse. So, you have to buff each and every perk. Some perks are really crazy being buffed, like Sprint Burst, have an extra 0.5, on the end of it or something like that. It has to be noticeable of a buff, or you ain't really doing much. Having 0.5 extra, speed, or adrenaline giving you extra 0.5 speed or something like that. And that's going to be a balancing nightmare, which is going to have to be balanced through public test beta to make sure there isn't a particular survivor that's just destroying. Killer side, which is going to be very interesting. I guarantee these are going to be broken. After being stunned, faster recovery rate, and slight speed boost. Wraith, scratch marks, and blood last longer. Huge, huge. Hillbilly, slightly harder to blind with flashlight, flashbang, firecrackers, and blast mines. Terrible. Nobody wants that on Hillbilly. You know what people want on Hillbilly. They want control. Or more speed, whichever one comes first. Successfully hitting any skill check on a Jinn notifies the nurse. What's with these super OP killer add-ons and then very mediocre add-ons for the survivors? And it keeps going. Spirit, walking leaves scratch marks. So now when you're going up against spirit, if you're walking around, you leave scratch marks and the spirit knows where you're at. You have to crouch now or they know where you're at. On the opposite side of that, and at the bottom, they say some of the effects are strong, stupidly unfair, or completely unhelpful and useless. This is a work in progress. At this point, it could spice up gameplay. You might want to add work in progress up here at the top so people know this. But as of now, he felt that he needed to have a response on everybody. Instead of taking the time to think about things and start off basic and add people in as time goes by, and actually have something usable and useful, he decided, well, I need to list everybody and I have to come up with a generic perk or something that they do. Pig, who is considered the worst killer, failing to find the right box will cause the survivors a short hindrance after interaction with boxes are completed. Why should other survivors be penalized for somebody being unable to find the right box in their first attempt? It'd be different if it was only survivors with traps on them, get a very slight hindrance. But generally, if you're running all of the add-ons and all of that, you generally only have enough time to go directly to each and every box and search them. Because if you're unlucky and it's in the fourth box, if you screw off and do anything else, you ain't gonna have enough time to get to all of them. So he has a good base, but he doesn't have, hey, 360. But he doesn't have the correct implementation. And all of this that he's doing could have been summed up just by saying, like I said, if a regular person or the person whose perk it is using that perk, they get a buff. That's his entire concept right there. Gone. Whoosh. Till it gets to like killers and things like that. Then the killer's side, it's completely different. But I don't know. It is what it is. He's trying something, and if he manages to pull it out, it's going to be amazing. If he doesn't, however, then it's going to be a dead concept, and he's not going to get a lot of replies. I've already done a kill concept called the Silhouette. The Boogeyman. I want to say that I've already done this. It looks familiar. Eh. I might go over with it. I mean, it's by Lethargic Sauce. That's a name that I know. And he's known for not necessarily putting out, all of the details of something that he should. But this one seems like, I mean, it's not really well thought out or well plotted out, but it looks like there's at least some thought going into this one to an extent. So, I'll give it a go. Not today, of course, but some other time. I'll leave it on the list. So if I wait till tomorrow, I have one, two, two things to go over tomorrow. Lethargic Sauces and Dark Magics. And then we're back to the end. I would love to go over a lot more, but unfortunately, if I do, I ran out of content, and it's a sad day for Q when there's no content. Plus, this has already gone on for about 3 hours, most of which spent on a ridiculous concept that needs to just... He needs somebody to sit there in a voice call with him and talk to him about what he's trying to implement. and he would be good. Person I'm talking about is Manico Matro on the killer concept, the Psychopath. The link is in description. If anybody knows this guy and you kind of know something about Dead by Daylight, please reach out to this man and join him in a voice chat or proofread his writings or offer this man some help. He has a very good concept that he's just ruining and burning to the ground because he's being stubborn and doesn't want to restart. He thinks everything post-meal is just perfect. And if he removes anything, he's giving the survivors a huge advantage and he's making the killer hard to play. And I don't think he understands, but just by having the base of 6.9 meters per second on any killer, he could be a mouse 1 killer that's just fast and stays fast the entire game. That's all you need, is the speed that he has to win matches. Don't even need perks, don't even need power. I don't know. For those who care, I'm still in process of doing Splinter Cell Blacklist. Yesterday was kind of an extended stream. I did some Splinter Cell Blacklist last night. Me and Macho got on Rocket League together. We ended up stream being like 4 or 5 hours. It was ridiculous. And we went over some Rocket League replays, things like that. So anybody Rocket League side of things, you have content. It was recorded very late at night, which is why I was late today doing this particular review. But all in all, it was fun. We laughed, we had fun, we talked about things, we made jokes, and all of that. Heck, even after we ended stream, we both just kind of hung out and played Rocket League and a horse game for like an hour afterwards. So, just time with the boys. If you want to become a boy or a friend or anything like that, everybody's welcome. I don't want to add the Discord link into the particular description because I don't want every heated person that I review their particular concept over to join the Discord and message me, outside of, the particular things. If you want to discuss something with me, I'm up to discussions and things like that. But you have to keep in mind that I stream more than just Dead by Daylight. I have multiple series going, and I have limited time while I'm doing multiple series. So, I mean, during the time where, there's no content and I don't have anything to review, I can put up a discussion with Q stream, just have a stream going in the background or whatever it is, or I can record it and edit it down. I probably won't. I'll probably just leave a live stream up with mics muted till somebody says anything and just delete the stream or whatever if nobody ever comes or anything like that. Which wise, nothing's archived, everything's archived on YouTube. Or I can play a different game or something like that until somebody contacts me. If you want to talk to me or message me or have open communications on or off stream, it doesn't matter to me, just let me know. Stop by a stream, join the Discord, something like that, and we'll see. I will probably, I've posted the Discord and well, not links, but during the videos, because I want people that actively, watch content to pick up the Discord code, as opposed to, I've actually put it in some chats too for some things. But I generally want people actively watching my content to be part of the Discord, not somebody that I reviewed their concept and is mad and is coming to complain to me. Because generally, I mean, they're posted on videos that I do on YouTube, all the complaints and things like that, or I get a message on this particular forum. And then I end up saying, bro, everything that I say was just a suggestion for your part. The fact that you immediately got defensive about it and started shooting off on everything that I said, timestamp wise, means that you're aware that problems exist. And you're feeling like you have to defend yourself because I went on this lengthy discussion and pulled your concept apart. You know what you can do to prevent that? Take the extra time in your concept to look up everything. If you want an 8% increase in speed, do whatever the 8% is into whatever your killer's base speed is or whatever, and find out, you know, what that equates to. Because a lot of people do very small increases in speed and it ends up being like 0.005 or 0.001 or something crazy. And I go through as a reviewer and I do the particular math and I'm like, bro, you have to do all of these activations for 0.001% increase in speed or meters per second increase in speed. And they're wanting to argue with me over it. And I'm like, okay, bro, you know, leave it how it is. But I mean, I'm not going to be the only one that tells you this, especially after I've commented on it on your particular page or I've made a video of it. Other people that actually take the job seriously and know what they're talking about will say the same thing. So you can hate me, but are you going to hate the other people that actually take the time to say something to you? And not a lot of people do. There is a select few of us, about 5, as far as I can count, that'll actually go from post to post and provide any type of information to other content creators and things like that. Majority of people stop by, they skim through your concept, and then they go to the next concept. If it's good, they vote it up or they say good job, and then they're out. I spend typically hours on a particular person's concept. If it looks like you've put effort into it, I come at it from a different angle than somebody. The first sentence that I see in their concept is, I don't care what anybody else thinks, and I'm not taking this super seriously, but this is my concept. Because I'm obviously going to come in a lot different because you have an attitude right off the bat. Versus, you know, hey guys, I've spent 3 years working on this concept, you know, this is my magnum opus, you know, this is my design. Please tell me what you think about it. And if you see anything wrong, you know, let me know. I'm going to be a lot more open because I can see that you've put a lot of tender love and care into this. I'm not just going to openly be like, yeah, your content sucks, take it down. But then we have, I got to pull my scene back up. Then we have Manacle's concept, or Maniacal's concept. Which he starts out with the first thing that you see is that killer concept, the psychopath. Killer concept, the psychopath. Real name, Jeffrey Woods. Killer name, the psychopath. Jeez. Scoob. How are we going to figure out who killer we're going after? How are we going to find the identity of this particular person? I don't know. Could it be the psychopath? Could it be the psychopath? Or could it be the psychopath? Who knows? You've already mentioned the name 3 times in the first couple of sentences, plus the title itself. Anyway, then we go down to the obvious 12 meters per second, or 12 meter terror radius, and then a 6.9 meters per second. This is so far off base that you would assume that this person's memeing off first look. But I was nice enough not even to assume that he was memeing from the start. I took it serious like I did every other thing, and I called him out on it. That's not correct by Dead by Daylight standards that have already been set. He then goes in and he writes an overview. I mean, it's technically just saying what the powers are and what the powers are used for. And these perks here used to maim survivors while in chase and intimidate cooperative survivors. Did I hear a TV? Jesus, that TV's loud. You go into power and all of that, you know, everything's listed, everything, you know, you go through, blah, blah, you know, you see the concept and all of that. Then we get to the point to where here. This is why he's not getting a huge amount of positivity on this. All caps. I know that people think that Jeff the Killer would be like the Legion and that not everyone likes him to be a character at all. Actually, most people that I talk to think Jeff the Killer could be put into the game and they would like to see Jeff the Killer because they were raised during the time of his conception and all of that, and they've played his games and things like that. Most people didn't even get Legion off the bat. You're just assuming already that you're going to get negativity on a post. Yeah, there's going to be some people that say that it's like Legion, but the first thing you present to us in the forum is stalking abilities. So why would we get Legion from stalking abilities? But honestly, I don't care. Right there. But honestly, I don't care. And if you don't care, why should we care? I know that people think that Jeff the Killer would be like the Legion and that not everyone likes him to be a character at all. But honestly, I don't care. I made this for fun, not because I feel like Jeff should be added to the game as a killer. Either way, feel free to tell me what you think. But you just said you don't care. But then you want us to know, you want to know what we think about this. You did this for fun, not because you feel like Jeff should be added to the game. Yes, we understand that you did it for fun, but if you're doing it for fun, then why are you prefacing everything with this super attempting to be hard and attempting to be abrasive to everybody before anybody says anything to you? There's no point in bringing up the connection to Jeff and Legion, because even if I wasn't thinking about it, now I'm thinking about it now, and you're going to say, oh yeah, well, yeah, I can see a little bit of Legion in it now. And the only thing that's Legion-wise is the Deep Wound status effect, and Legion's just does that by power. Deep Wound status effect isn't Legion in their entirety. The Legion aspect comes from hitting a survivor and then bouncing over to another survivor, as opposed to, you know, keep pursuing the initial survivor. It's that pinball effect that when it makes Legion, Legion. Not that he can deep wound status affect everything. And I mean, there is some bouncing that you can obviously do in this concept. But like I said, most people said Michael Myers over anything. So you're assuming the community's going to ostracize you for it being like Legion. And for whatever reason, he has this conception that people don't like Legion or Jeff the Killer or any of that already put into his mind, when ain't nobody even said anything about it. Then to say that I understand all of this stuff, but you don't care about the understanding of all of this is just straight up rude. Why not just leave all of that bull crap at the beginning off and say that, well, in regular, not caps, I made this for fun. Feel free to tell me what you think. That's all you had to say. You didn't have to pretext it with all this gobbledygook and just downright just disrespect towards anybody viewing this. And this is why nobody positively comes in to say this. Then afterwards, he comes back in and he says a whole bunch of other things that instead of just doing it like this, he could have just edited, had the post be re-uploaded or redone by a mod, and gotten rid of this and put something of something like this up there. Because he says that he chose the original storyline because after doing some research. The desire to kill can be seen through a supernatural point of view. So you've done research on Jeff the Killer. That much is apparent. But you didn't do research about Dead by Daylight, and that's what people are trying to tell you. Hey, you're trying to implement it into a game. The game revolves around the entity, not Jeff. You're not going to have a fully powered killer anywhere running around while the entity is the one that's in charge. You need to understand that. You need to stick to the game's guidelines. If not, pick another game on a different forum, go there and post your idea there, where you have more limit or less limitations and things like that. Or preface the original title of your article, just goofing around or something like that, or just for fun or not to be taken serious, as opposed to labeling your particular concept, killer concept, the psychopath, like everybody else that's making serious concepts. You need to label your stuff as it's supposed to be. But after going into all of this and trying to explain anything, literally goes, before you say anything about Legion, the Legion have an anarchic, and Jesus, I can't speak. No, anarchic. That's exactly what that says. I'm saying it as it's supposed to be saying, or as it is wrote here. It is anarchic. So I'm not wrong here. He's wrong here. Point of view of life. And their thirst for blood is not as pure. Anyways, I hope you enjoy it. I don't know if I want to make more concepts, but I just wanted to try it. Please don't. Stop here. Stop making concepts. At least by yourself. Stop making concepts. Have somebody else hold your hand. You need training wheels, son. Please stop. Get some help. Whatever that meme is. Now, here we are again, throwing things about Legion out and things like that, saying that I guess he's the same as Legion and some other types of things that nobody even made a reference to Legion at all. Everybody's been saying Michael Myers, and he immediately threw up Legion, and we're all just throwing our hands up like, what is this guy talking about? But he went through and said, feel free to tell me what you guys think, and then wrote all of this stuff about all the research and things he does, and then immediately insults people afterwards. It's like, bro, you're lucky that anything's come from that. Which, after he's saying he doesn't care here, and then throwing all of this mad disrespect out, I gave him tough love. If you're not going to respect the person writing, or you're not going to respect the person reviewing and reading your concept, I told him exactly what I thought. This concept has no sense of balance. This is not the same concept. You'll have to go to the original concept to see how broken this was. This concept has no sense of balance and needs to be reworked heavily. I'd recommend visiting other killer concepts and the Dead by Daylight wiki and doing research about the game's mechanics before trying to make a concept. He researched Jeff the Killer, he didn't research the game. I'd recommend scrapping and rewriting everything once proper research has been done. You have a lot of imagination and ideas, but you're missing the proper ways to implement them. And by learning about the game and doing the research about the game, you know, the same amount of time you spent on learning Jeff the Killer, spend that time learning Dead by Daylight, or even just playing the game and having fun, you know, learning about how to implement things and what's balanced and what's not balanced. You can easily find proper ways to implement them. But until you look at Dead by Daylight, you're never going to have proper implementation. And he says, I wouldn't say heavily, because if I wanted it overpowered, I would have used the killer's powers to apply the incapacitated and deep wound status effects. In his words, I wouldn't say heavily, so he's agreeing that it is overpowered, but just not heavily. But if he wanted it to be, overpowered like that, he would use incapacitated and deep wound status effects. You scroll up ever so slightly, right after another, incapacitated and deep wound status effect. His words, ladies and gentlemen. If he wanted it to be OP, he would use the incapacitated and deep wound status effects. And guess what's in his particular profile? Both of those terms back to back. His words. Farther down, he even admits that he was going for a concept or a particular idea in his particular design that copies a perk that already exists. He even admits it. And I'm like, why not just run the perk instead of making your particular killer passively have a perk that's already been designed and balanced? And then why try to change that perk to be more beneficial? And it just blew my mind how somebody could be have such selective determinations about his particular project that you literally just blow my mind at how you can look away and not see things that you're generally talking about being implemented into your own design. It just don't make sense to me. But that's about the end of the most things. Like I said, we're now over 3 hours. And I think I am going to be done with reviews for the day. Look forward to Splinter Cell. There should be more reviews tomorrow because I have 2 other concepts to go over. After that, I don't think there's going to be any more concepts for a little bit until, well, you post Galenonum or somebody else posts. I'll be checking back daily around the same time to see if there's anything there, but if there isn't anything there, or if it's like just one small concept posted, then I probably won't cover it. But until then, thank you anybody that has stopped by or watches this in the future. And as always, supplement your lifestyle. And somebody help that man out. Please help that man out. See you, Galenonum. Please, anybody that graces me with your presence on this video, please find somebody that has enough patience to deal with somebody that's bullheaded. I was hearing you when I was doing my presentation. Well, there will always be one of those. Indeed. There will always be one of those people that just can't figure it out, and they won't take the time to figure it out. That is indeed too true. And there's always one person that'll always take the time to try to stick with the person like that as well. I don't have the time nor the patience to reach out and join at least not at the moment, definitely not the patience to reach out and keep telling somebody something over and over and over and over, and they not listen to me until some other person says it. That is my life story when I've been giving advice and things like that to friends. I tell them over and over and over and over. They don't listen to me. Whatever I said happened. And then they come back like, man, I should have listened to you. I'm like, yeah, I've been telling you this for about a year that she was cheating on you, dude. Like, dude, I literally gave you proof and showed you proof that she was cheating and you still stayed with her. And now you're mad because you walked in and she was with another guy in your bed. I mean, like, what did you expect? You know? Anyway, I'm off topic. Ooh. I'll see you later. Peace.